Mate, it was ginormous. I swear it come at me with so much, it proper smashed into me. I was like, you are an animal, mate.
The Thinking Tackle Podcast.
Welcome to the Thinking Tackle Podcast. Now, if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now, today it is our very great pleasure to say that we are joined by Ricci Connoly in the studio. He is an angler that I don't think gets the credit for what has been an incredible, mate, it must be 10 years and more of big carp after big carp after big carp. At least it seems that way from my perspective. All while running Fishon Tackle, which is we're going to talk a bit about as well, which is a really big business, big chunk of your life, mate. But I want to point out before we go any further that you have come to us straight from the bank. This is the kind of guy you are.
Yeah. If I smell a little bit, I do apologise. But I did have a little wipe down in the car park, changed my clobber, and
Every angler will know, mate, the rugged nature of coming straight off the lake to work. But Thank you for coming. I think it kind of just gives us a little bit of an idea as to perhaps how your life has changed, mate. The fact that you are, you've fished a couple of nights and you've come in, and I think there was a time probably where fishing seemed like a distant thought somewhat.
Absolutely. Yeah, in the early days, I was obviously setting up my business, then that just completely come to a halt. It has to, because obviously if you want to have a successful business, you've got to give up all the things that you like, and fishing obviously being the main one had to go. So
that must have been really tough. Like, you've got people coming in telling you about how their fishing was, and
it was tough, but it was also quite nice because obviously I would help people. Fishing locally, to me, places that I've done well on in the past, I would give people information and they can go and catch, and then they relay their stories and I'd buzz off that. But yeah, ultimately when they're going out week in, week out, and I'm like, I'd love to just wake up at a lake, if anything, because I love sleeping outdoors. I missed that. I did miss that.
I think one thing that occurs to me is, and you must have seen it yourself, like so many people who work in the trade, be they lake owners, tackle shop owners, they lose the love, mate.
Yeah.
And yet I feel like you're the opposite.
I love it more genuinely now than I ever did. That is the facts. I mean, I've been obsessed with it since I was 6-7 years old, so it's quite a bold statement to say I love it now more than ever. I think the main thing is that, as well as fishing for carp, I fish for a lot of other things, but side of carp fishing, I don't just sit on the same venue for a long time because I think that would bore me. So I always keep myself captivated by fishing different venues, different styles of fishing for different fish, and that's why I've still so passionate about it, and still I don't get bored of it.
So why do you think you've escaped, though? Nonetheless, you're around fishing all the time. Do you have to sort of portion it off? Do you have to keep your fishing very separate from fish on and the chats you have with people every day, or are the two things? I'm
a bit of an open book, really. So like, I do thrive on helping people. Don't get me wrong. I hold things back because ultimately, if I'm fishing a lake and there's customers coming to my shop who fish that same lake, I want the edge because I want to catch the most. I want to catch more than anybody else. But equally, I think it's like, the bank balance goes, no, Ricky, just give them a little bit of information, sell them a bit of this. So I do in turn obviously want to help them. So it's quite hard to find that balance of being, an angler wanting to catch more, and also the side of things where I want to help them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that comes to mind with that, mate, is the particle. I mean, before I hadn't necessarily thought we'd be talking about this so early, but you're really renowned for your particle at Fishon.
Yeah.
And it's been a massive edge for you. Why did you decide to sell it?
Because we sell lots of it and it pays for holidays. So no, I mean,
you could have held it back though, mate.
Oh, most
Why is that not
definitely.
In your nature?
Because I do genuinely like to help, genuinely like to give. That's simply all it is.
And so talk to us about it. I mean, why you think that mix and the way that you do it. I'm not expecting you to tell us the ins and outs of it.
No, I mean, I don't profess to be some sort of bait guru or know the ins and outs of everything, because I don't. I base it just on results and how it's worked out for me. Fermenting particle, leaving it for a long period of time. It's just work. The fish just get on it. Once they're on it. And I just think if you look after it properly and make sure it doesn't turn, and that is the key, because there's a fine line with keeping it fermenting as opposed to it going off and being rancid.
Yeah.
If you can manage that and look after that, then That is the key.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure loads of people listening will also be guilty of having left buckets in the back garden until they've got a thick blue crust on top. But sometimes if you peel that back, the particle underneath
is liquid, sloppy, gooey gold, isn't it?
I don't know. At what point
100%,
is it?
So
Always.
The key is to leave lots of water on it. So if you just leave a bucket of particle out and it's got a very thin layer of water on it, it will turn. Like that blue mould that you get that you could peel off like a lid will seep into the particle, and I don't like it like that. If you keep lots, like I'm talking a healthy amount of water on top of it, you will get that scum on the top, but the rest of it is still preserved effectively by this water.
And when does it start to peak, Rick, in terms of like time?
Mate, I've used stuff which has been like 3 months old, man. As long as you keep it in a dark place. Like in the summer, it's hard if you're mixing hemp in, because the hemp is the only one that will go. Like, it will pop when it's really hot. But generally, when it's cooler and you kept in a garage, a shed or whatever, you know, as long as it's the water, mate, have lots of water on it.
And what about salt? Does that come into it, like preservative side of things, or?
No, I don't add salt during it because I think it slows down the fermentation. I think I love salt, especially after they spawned. I'll go through a lot of Himalayan salt, but I add it as I go. So as I'm doing my mix at the lake, I will add lots of salt.
Okay, so no salt goes near it before you fish?
No, and I'm sure people do. Like I say, I'm not a bait baron. I'm not professing to know everything about every seed going, but I just go and base it on my results and what I see other people, you know, do off the back of it as well. So
and talk to us a bit about how that came about to be so central in your angling, because obviously it's come to the point where you're known for it. Like, when did it happen, and can you remember sort of why you ended up leaving the particle? Was it an accident? Was it thought through?
My earliest memories of seeing how effective particle were probably fishing when I was about 18 on a lake that used to shut for shooting, like wildfowlers. And I used to see the shooters come down and pour like wheat, into the margin. And then they would go off, and then it wouldn't be that long after that I would just see these tail patterns and all that stuff. And that was when I sort of, you know, and I was brought up on using chickpeas because it was cheap. So that was probably like the beginning part of seeing how effective particle was. And I think it was probably a friend of mine, Ben, he used to use a lot of particle, probably because it was cheap, and it's just a way of mass baiting on the cheap side. And then started to cook it in the shop for myself, and then it was just clearing spots initially. So I would go to a lake, put a load out, because it was, you know, I put a bucket 20 kilos out, and then you realise once you go back to that swim a couple of days later and you make that first cast and it absolutely cracks down, you're like, yeah, they like that stuff. And then it just progressed, and it just,
But it progressed from what, a position where you were putting fresh particle out. I want to know what prompted the change to this matured, fermented stuff.
I just left it, and it just got nicer. Like, fresh stuff is really nice, but there's a real funny smell, sicky almost, that I just like
vinegariness.
No, I don't like. See, fermentation, you'd think vinegar.
I
don't like the vinegar personally, and like I say, I'm only basing it on my results and my customers'
I think
results.
that's perfect though. Like, you know, all the science in the world doesn't probably stack up to what you're able to see and prove to yourself.
But I like it so, because sometimes when it goes vinegary, the water goes almost clear. Mine is like a milky, and it just, everything just congeals down the bucket, and it's active, it's bubbling and stuff, and I just like it when it's gloopy and stuff. And that sort of yellow looking water, that is when I think, you know, it just, as long as, like I say, you can maintain it. And I think I just left some, and I was like, that's all right, that smells okay. And I used it, and the fish loved it.
I think that's I can relate to that, because having, you know, let's say you boil up a load of particle, put it in your bucket, seal it, and then you can't go that week that you thought you could go, and then all of a sudden it's 2 weeks and you're like, I can't waste that. That's like a bit of investment there, and you're willing to put it out even though it's not fresh, and actually it's ended up being...
I mean, you could get down the lake and the swim that you think that you want to bait up, someone's in it, and then you drive home with a bucket full of particles
and then inevitably you know, it sits in the garden or in the garage or whatever.
It's like imagine some milk out the fridge. You know, you go to make a cup of tea, that milk's been sat in there a couple of days. You just smell it, don't you? It smells all right. I'll give that a go. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing. If I think it smells okay, then it's going to get used.
I mean, we're going to talk about how you use this stuff down the line a bit, but like, I want to pick up on the fact that I think we're here today really because I you came back into my mind around the time of the carping of the year discussions.
Right.
And there was a little bit of stuff on social media, throwing your name into the ring. And I was like, you are dead right. Ricci's had a hell of a year, and actually feels like probably a hell of a decade.
Yeah.
Even though the first part of that decade, you'd have been well and truly stuck into fish on and growing
grafting,
that.
yeah.
But 40 pounder after 40 pounder after 40 pounder, certainly in the last 12 months. What is it about the way you fish? Is it your venue choice? Like, what is it about the way you fish that's meant that it seems like one big one after another at the minute?
Venue choice is, paramount. Obviously, if they're not in there, you can't catch them, right? But I just think I don't know. I just don't stop, Rich. I just won't. So I get 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
And I fish solidly for like 2 nights. I don't get to a swim, sit there, rest my laurels. I'm looking, and I want to find them, and I want to fish for them. It's as simple as that.
Use the trip you've just done as an example of why perhaps you're fishing a bit differently to the way that I might, or whatever. How mobile you've been. It's a good example because it's a random example, but I feel like it probably shows you for the sort of angler that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally the trip I've just come.
Yeah.
Okay,
just talk to us a little bit about how it went and all the moves you made.
Yeah, I mean, I fished this lake 2 years ago, and I'd done a night, so I don't know the venue, but because Welly's shut, I had nowhere to go, and I've got a couple of other tickets, and I just thought I'm just going to go here just off the cuff, and mainly because it's like half an hour from you guys, right? Yeah. So sort of ticks all the boxes. So I just turned up, and I just fish how I won't fish until I find fish. So I can lap and lap and lap. As it happens, I found a couple of fish in like this corner, tiny little corner, and eventually I caught one really quickly, and then that's it. I just pack up, and then everything's off the barrow, and then I just walk round until I find them again. I found a few on another swim, and then got the rods out and quickly caught another couple, and then had another one in the night, and then I woke up at 4:30, 4:45, and I heard a couple show down the other end. So I just packed up and just moved again. I mean, which is crazy, like on bite time, and I've already caught like 3 fish out of this swim, but I'd have to act on what I see, and if I don't, I kick myself. Maybe it's called ADHD, I don't know, like I can't sit still. I get itchy feet really quickly. Then I moved again, and then I moved again, and I ended up fishing like 6 swims, but ultimately I caught from every swim.
Yeah, which is amazing, right? Because you could have sat there and probably finished the week with 3. The week, the session.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, easily. But that's boring.
Yeah,
that's so boring.
I feel like you probably you're sleeping for a few hours and you're not putting a brolly up when you don't have to, and that kind of thing.
No pegs go in the ground.
Right.
If I put like last night, if I put a brolly up, I don't peg it down.
What? No. Just because you want to be up and away?
It's just I'm lazy like that. And then if I had that opportunity, I just want to break it down and just go. But yeah. And
is it the buzz for you to catch from different swims, or is it just that you want to be on fish?
Categorically, I want to catch them on my terms. So if I went to that venue and you said to me, go to that point swim, fish at 13 wraps and just put a bit of bait and they'll come. I'll go to a venue, I'll walk around it and I'll find them, and everything is proper on my terms. Even if I could have easily sat in another swim and caught a few more, of course, but I've just literally caught. As soon as I caught one, it's in the net. I unhooked it, let it go, and then that's it. I want to go and try and catch as many from different swimmers as I can. Really.
I mean, I've had this conversation with a few people recently about hunting versus trapping, and it feels like a lot of the techniques that we learn now and are shown are really veering off towards the trapping side of thing rather than the actual hook searching and hunting.
I think that's very venue dependent, because there are venues that I fished where trapping was definitely the key. But more recently, I love the thrill, like that thrill of finding them, watching them feed, especially getting them to feed, and then fishing for the fish that I want to fish for. So I could turn up and there could be 5 fish hammering a spot, but they're 20 pounders. But if I go there and I've got 2 fish and one's potentially a 40-pounder, then that is it. Like whatever happens, I'm going for that.
So does that mean that you angle your choice of venue? I mean, I think we're going to come on to an interesting example with Welly, like in a bit, perhaps where it's fished in a way that you weren't expecting. But do you generally choose venues where you're able to watch them?
No, I generally pick venues on the look of the carp or the style of the carp. So many places that I've had a ticket for, I've never even walked round. I haven't even seen it, so I don't know what the lake's like. Is it clear? Has it got margins? Can I climb the trees? Can I just watch them? Haven't got a clue. I'm purely basing my ticket because there's a fish or 2 or 10 that I'd love to catch.
And the guys that you see in the shop, where do they sit generally on that hunting, trapping scale versus perhaps where you are?
Oh, mate, probably 95% is trapping.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I feel that's where a lot of our sport has gone. And, I like a bit of trapping, don't get me wrong.
Mate, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And out of fishing, you get whatever you want from it. If you want to turn up at a lake and go on the point swim because you got 5G on there, you crack on, mate.
Yeah.
And that is literally, that's down to you. But for me, I don't care. I want to go there and actual fish.
Okay, well, let's start off on a campaign that some people will be aware of. A Kent lake that ended up having, arguably the biggest carp that Britain's ever produced in it, but certainly an incredible stock of big carp. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that came around for you? Were you early on it? Because it felt like you were to me. Yeah,
I was early. I didn't really fish it. It was at the time of when I was in the infancy of setting up my shop. And I've always been a yes man. Like I like to do things, and I basically applied for this ticket, and I got the call a year later from Steve Burke. But ultimately, I couldn't afford the ticket because, I was earning hardly any money out of setting up the business, and everything I did earn went back into the business. So he deferred me for a year, and he's like, that you only get one deferral, and that is it. So basically, it came up again. But fortunately for me, you probably know how it's structured, but it's in like a spring ticket, a summer ticket, and a winter ticket, or a full year ticket. And I think at the time, maybe the summer ticket was £900. So I made that work for me at the time. And yeah, basically in that I think it's 4 months, you get 18 nights. But so my first, I would say 3 years of actually fishing on there, I didn't even do 30 nights. So it's like 9 1 year, 10 the next, maybe 11 the following year. So, and that was like when it was, I think, at its sort of nearly at its best.
It's a strange setup. I think everyone who hears what you just said will be thinking 18 nights is all I'm allowed to do. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of nights for some people. But
when you break it down, people are like, because it's quite it's expensive ticket, right? And they're like, 18 nights. And I'm like, yeah, it's a night a week. Do you know what I mean? But once you structure it, say you want to fish around the new moon, the full moon, and blah, 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 you can actually make it work. And actually, most of the time, I really struggled to get my nights in. I was thinking, am I going to, because you're just busy with life.
Yeah.
And you can only do 4 nights in a fortnight. So if you do 4 at the beginning of a fortnight, you've got to wait, So there's lots of rules.
And can you bait? Can you prep in the meantime? Are you allowed to be on the lake?
So this is when part of my heavy baiting started. So I would go down there and put a bucket in, maybe in a corner or an unfavoured area, which I like, bit of gardening, raking, then bait it. And then a couple of people got the ump with that. So then it went down to pre-baiting, was like 2 kilos. So that stopped.
Okay, you perhaps on reflection you were too open with it, do you think, in terms of how much you're putting out? Or?
I think people just see,
Okay, you couldn't hide it.
No, this little ginger geezer bowls up and just stands there in a swim with a weed rake and then spods out for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You couldn't hide it.
Tell us a little bit about the place.
Or I think more people didn't want to do it. Or make the effort of driving an hour and a half just to bait up and come back.
So they could level the field by having it stopped.
Yeah.
Tell us about the place, because obviously it's not somewhere that even to this day is really talked about too much.
It's beautiful. Like what I love about it. It's probably the only lake I've fished in a very, very long time where there is no noise pollution, and that means so much now. Like I've got so nostalgic about my fishing as a kid and about what I remember fishing to be. This is as close as I've ever got to it, because it's just so tranquil. There's a few lakes on the complex, but the Carp Lake is probably 12, 13 acres, 8 swims, weedy, lots of bars, couple of islands. It's just beautiful.
And give us a sense of the stock as it existed when you started on there.
Yeah, there's no more than 60 carp. I get all anal on fish, and I want every picture and every bit of information, and I know there's no more than 60 carp at that time. And out of them 60 fish, there's probably 16, 17 fish that went over 40 pound, and then probably 4 of them over 50, and then obviously one of them that went on over 60. So good stock, unbelievable stock.
And do you remember how you first heard about it? It's obviously, I don't know how far it is from where you live, but
yeah, it's about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half.
So not your part of Kent then, really?
No, it's further down south. I actually saw a picture of it. I saw this picture of this most amazing morning shot, and it was in Kent. I was like, where the hell was this lake? It was just the reeds, like the reed lined. It was just the most perfect picture. And then I started to see a couple of fish, carp talk realistically, and then it was just a case of digging and trying to get a bit of information on it.
And it's fair to say Steve, who ran it, a character,
unbelievable,
chairman of the Perch Fishers or something like that. Yeah,
absolute lunatic, but I love him. He was cool. Like, he was a nice guy. He had some weird rules, man. Like if you forgot your unhooking mat, bubble wrap would suffice. Like, I mean, what does that mean?
I mean, who carries bubble wrap
exactly
anyway?
That. I mean, I would take some out of the packing bit at a shop seller. But yeah, you can't be off your swim. 10 seconds rules. If and what did he say? If he can do it in 13, then you're okay. But because I was younger than him, like 10 seconds.
Could he shift then? He doesn't look like he could shift.
No, I think it was just making that up. That he's a bit more agile than what he actually is. But no, there's some strange rules on there. But do you know what? He ran a real type ship, and nothing was out of hand.
And also the kind of fish would bear out that obviously something was right with the lake.
100%. Like, lack of pressure. I think at one point, I'm sure it's reported that it was one of the quickest growing 30-pounders in the UK.
Right.
Not pellet fed, like literally stocked and grown.
So once you've seen the lake and we're going to fish it for the summer, what sort of assessments did you make of how it would be needed to fish?
Yeah, I mean, initially, my first trip, I caught my first night.
Is that because you knew what you had to do, or was
Nah, I didn't have a clue, mate. I've never seen the lake. I had seen the lake. You have like an introduction, and that was the first time I saw it. But I turned up in July. My ticket started on the 15th of July, and I turned up expecting it to be busy, and I was the only one on there.
Good start.
Lovely start. But then your head's like, all right, where do I go?
Yeah.
So I remember I didn't actually find any carp apart from this tiny little, like I'm talking, I don't know, 30 yards across little bay, and I found a couple in there, and I just literally just flicked one down the edge, bit of bait round it, and I only done a night, literally an overnighter, and I caught this like 21, 22 pound common and slipped it back. But
so in a way that potentially sets the precedent for what might be possible, but equally you might not learn anything from that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But what it was very weedy. So on like my next, bear in mind, I only done like 8 or 9 nights that year, and that's spread out over a few months. So how much knowledge are you gaining? Not loads. It was just a case of finding where the weed stopped and started and fishing up against it and putting some bait over it.
And are we talking the particle approach on there? Is that
no? That was a boilie approach initially.
Yeah,
it was just easy boilie. I think it was probably the following season I started using a bit of particle, not pre-baiting, bit of party, and then definitely the season after that.
And angling wise, were there any lads on there doing well? And
I think, yeah, I mean, you had some great anglers on there.
Was Dempsey on there at that stage?
Dempsey was on there, Tin Pot, Dan Taylor. You know, they're all
really experienced lads.
Experienced, exceptional anglers. You know, so it was cool. But they all had like the full tickets, so I only had the summer ticket. So obviously I'd hear how they got on in the spring, and then obviously eager to start in the summer. And that was it was probably 2018 when I like started the heavy baiting, like proper baiting.
And did you always have the summer ticket, Rick, or did you get the...
I had the full ticket twice.
Yeah.
Later on.
Okay.
But the first year was COVID,
Mm.
so I didn't even get to fish the spring. And then the second year, I actually fished it, and I really didn't enjoy the spring.
Right.
The spring was just not for me.
Okay.
Although the fish are massive, they historically wouldn't wake up until like 15th of April. So a big chunk of the spring's already missing. And then it would be about a month of maybe 6 weeks of good fishing, and then they'd spawn, and then that's it.
And at what point, just again for chronology's sake, at what point did it produce an 80-pounder? Was that...
That was
before?
2019. So that fish, I caught that 13 months before.
Right.
So that was like the most ultimate carp in the lake. That's what everyone wanted. It was an amazing carp. Didn't get caught a lot. Once a year, maybe once every 18 months. And yeah, I caught it in the October, and then it got caught the following November.
At 80 pound.
84 pound. Yeah.
And what? Just before we move on, obviously, it'd be nice to just get your views on that. Because it's still talked about, isn't it? That?
Yeah. What's my views on that? First of all, sadness, because it ultimately ended up dying, and it was such a great carp. I don't think should it be a carp record? I don't personally know. I don't think so.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, fine. Talk to us about when it all started to happen for you on there.
So that was that year, actually. Although I didn't notch up my full 18 nights, I remember, say, like I would turn up, and obviously I've got friends that are down there, and it would literally do like a top rod for the spring would be 8 or 9 fish for the whole spring. And that was when I started baiting heavy and using lots of particle. And I remember I went in this corner, tiny little corner of the lake called Ford Corner, and I put like 10 key of particle out. And Tim Pott rung me. He was fishing in Orchids, and he's like, how you getting on, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I just put a bucket out. And he's like, oh, Rickster, you've ruined it. 'Cause they're all fishing single stringers on the stick. And yeah, man, I think I had 6 fish that trip. So it's just, and that sort of set the precedent for me.
Yeah.
It was just bait, and a lot of bait.
And do you think that often isn't done on lakes, and that's why it can be an edge?
I think if it's like, if it's not done, then you do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they don't take floaters in here,
Yeah,
so you
like
stick a load of floaters out.
And do you think a lot of people shy away from it because of the sheer logistics of always being prepping the bait and the size of the operation in terms of how much space and weight and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a chore, isn't it? It's a task. I mean, obviously it's easier for us at work. We've got Burkos and we've got buckets and troughs that we store bait in. So to me, if I want 20 kilo, then I just
Pick it up.
pick it up. It's done.
You've got a man for that now.
Yeah, it's readily available. But any of our customers can pop in and do that.
Yeah. So when you had the 6, any significant fish amongst those? Because there is this misconception, isn't there, that the sort of the massive particle approach can yield smaller carp.
Yeah, no, mate. I caught all the big ones on it.
Yeah.
And when I say all of them, there was 2 out of all of those big ones that I didn't catch. Actually, the big plated I caught on a single GLMF whacked out and that's the only carp I caught at Showing Fish. They are spooky as hell. But that is the only one I caught on a single.
Amazing. But yeah, the first 6. What were there anything? Was there anything?
Yeah, there's one called Tails. That was the first time I caught that. Mid 40 probably. But there was a real cool mirror in there, which I think I've only ever known of maybe 5 captures in before me and after me, because even now to this day I get people send me pictures and the owner to ID fish, because like I say, I'm anal, so when I'm on it I am anal and I know. So so that, I mean, the biggest one obviously Tails. That was my first big one out of there.
Let us know when there's a picture that you've given us as well, to show, Rick, if there is one that evidently not Tails.
No, not Tails. No.
Send it to me, I'll put it in.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So in terms of the fishing over there, I want to talk, before we move on to further successes there, it'd be really key, I think, to talk about when you introduce it, in terms of the ideal scenario with pre-baiting, how much you put out on a session and what you actually use over the top to make sure you're getting bites over what can be a tricky bait to catch carp over.
So it actually sort of progressed. So the early years, let's just say 2020, I would fish certain swims and I would split my rods. I'd either have 2 on 1 or 3, but bait. And I would start off with 30 spods probably, which is quite a lot of bait. Particle.
30 spods per spot?
Per spot, yeah. And then they would just turn up. And then what I was doing, I was just catching and then repeating. But what I found out later on, that wasn't the way to do it. So but eventually it was coming to 3 to a spot, or most definitely 2, most of the time 3, and just stick out a load of bait, like,
Everything you've got?
No, like I like 10 kilo a spot quite comfortably, but I'd have like another 30 kilo behind me. Do you know what I mean? To top up.
And topping up with the same again? Or?
No, I'd sort of gauge it, probably 30 spods.
Oh, talk to us about hook baits, because obviously the idea of catching over a particle does present problems, in terms of hook bait selection. Also presents lots of opportunity in terms of what hook bait to use.
Yeah, but you've got to remember there's no bream or tension when, like, there isn't any. So it's just carp, eels or pike. That is it. So I love small baits. I use 13 millers, and realistically the boilies, I'd only put a handful of boilies. So it would be like X amount of particle, loads of salt, loads of crumb, and a handful of 10, 12 millers. That's it. And then I'll just fish a 30 miller over the top.
As a bottom bait?
Yeah, like a wafter, 30 mil wafter, yeah.
Nice, okay. And you, at no point you felt like you needed to use a tiger nut or something over the top?
You can't use tigers over there anyway, but it's like I fished the same now as I did then, nothing really. It's like, occasionally I'll stick a pop-up out, occasionally. Yeah. But generally, like I say, it's on my terms. So I look for the spots that I want to fish on to catch the fish on my terms.
All right, well, talk us through that. I mean, actually, before you do that, rig length and stuff like that, is that a consideration over particle in terms of the way we know that they feed over particle, which is not moving a right lot?
Yeah, my rig length has got shorter over the years, for sure. 5 inches, very maximum. And I'm so basic, mate. Like, I just fish a slip D, short hook link, with a wafter that I use. The hook flips over nicely and lands. It's.
Do you use a little kicker, like a kicker?
Yeah, I used to use a really long kicker, really long. But what I found, I used to catch a lot of carp, hook them, have them in the net, and then I'd go up to the net and they'd be unhooked. So then I changed. I used to use literally like 60 mil of shrink tube, like a really long.
I feel like I've seen that rig of yours.
Yeah, you probably might have done when we done something with topography in the past. But I've changed it now, and I literally now use like a quarter of that. And
what about that hook to bait relationship in terms of sizes? Are you a big hook kind of guy, or are you?
Right, that's interesting again. So I've always been a size 4 wide apex, always. Yeah. Last year I started using 6s, and the 6s hook them better.
Right.
I've found.
Yeah.
So now, like, all my fish this year have been on size 6s.
So we know you're using 13 millers, and you've gone from a 4 to a 6, which is a bit more, but what you might consider balanced.
Yeah. I don't think a 13 miller looks out of place on a size 4.
No, not at all.
I think ultimately I'm fishing for really big carp, but I just found that they're slightly smaller, but I just think they're just more nailed. It's harder for me to get the hook out. When you get them in the net, you just want to take the hook out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's hard.
So during the life of a spot, when are you catching the carp? Bear in mind you put your 30 out, let's say. Do you need time to have that kind of approach, or can you catch quickly over that?
Mate, I've caught them so quick, ridiculously quick over bait. Black spot once was an hour. I just done 30 spots, no more actually, and I had 3 rods on the spot, and the middle rod right in the centre of the bait has gone.
And do you think they're seeing that, or is it just literally that was the bit of ground that its mouth touched?
I just think that they come in mass. They're not on their own. Do you know what I mean? You can just tell by the bubbles and the cauldrons that are coming up. There's obviously a group of fish there, and they just get in a frenzy. I think there's so much textures and tastes and stuff coming off the particle, as well as the boilie crumb doing its thing, and the high track hook baits. Like, they're just there. Okay,
I mean, it's interesting you say high track hook baits. Well, do you think you'd catch on a Brazil nut or a piece of plastic? Or
I think.
What is the kind of, because you've used high track hook baits for years.
Yeah.
You believe in it, clearly.
100%. It's confidence, right? I'm a very, very confident angler. Like, why would you want to doubt anything? And the amount of carp that I've caught on that hook bait that boilie crumb and that particle, why would I ever change? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's
It has to be done. I wouldn't use anything else.
No, talk to us again about choosing these spots. You say you get the weed rake out and stuff, so you're willing to choose areas that are unfavoured, perhaps. But
Yeah.
what do you need to be seeing? Like, is there something geographical about the way the lake sits?
No, it's all about feel, right? So if I'm doing some gardening, say, then it would be extensive leading around until I sort of feel an area that I think that warrants a bit of tidying up.
Okay.
And it's silt. I love fishing on silt. So, but it has to be the right silt. I know what
Talk
silt.
to us
I want.
about what that feels like and how you determine what is the right silt.
How do I describe? I've said this before. It's like casting on a bag of open flour, like where it just imagine it's fairly firm but not, and it hits and it puffs up, and I can just slide the lead across it. I don't necessarily like that real big, thick, gloopy black shit. I've caught on that before, but I like that nice, smooth, like lovely.
Do you imagine it's like a brown, like a sort of a sandier
Yeah.
silt, or
Brown, like just clean, like clean. And it doesn't have to be. It could be anything. I could just get that, and I go, oh, that's cool, and then I can just work around that.
So the weed raking is to do what then? To enlarge it, or to get your line lay?
Line lay is so important. Like that is categorically like so important. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. So if I'm casting out and I'm casting in amongst silt, but I can feel this sort of weight or the drop, I'm getting the drop that I want to feel, and I envisage it to be this puff of flour.
Yeah.
Then I'd put a small rake on and I'll work it so I can get a rod or two on it, and then I'll work on my line lay.
And do you think that then, if you've got it right, that first hit of particle will do everything for you?
It had done, yeah. So you just give it a bit of bait. So this is when I could pre-bait and give it a bucket, and then you literally turn off a few days later and you know that job you've done has worked because they've been in there feeding.
I mean, that must be the most exciting moment, is when you put the lead back out and it's...
Ding, and you're like, yep. It's happening in the morning. It's going. Like, do you know what I mean? But also, I've weed raked so much, caused so much carnage, and then put the rods out and caught very quickly. So if now you can't pre-bait, that didn't deter me if I had to do a bit of gardening. So
Talk to us about some of the highlights, mate. Because we've got some pictures and we want to show some pictures. So. What we're talking about from? I mean, are we allowed to name the lake? I don't know if you.
You can.
Okay. So from Wingham, sort of which was the first of the ones that you've sent to actually fall, and talk to us a little bit about what happened.
So obviously the big plated was the first big un.
Yeah.
I think it was the second big un, and that was in October. There was loads of tuft. Like this lake just attracts bird life that you wouldn't believe. It's 200 tufted probably, but I was fishing a swim called Orchids, and I could see at range 110 maybe carp's heads just coming out in amongst the tufted. So yeah, I just meshed up a cork ball pop up,
and this is the one you caught on the only
one, man. The only one, and I just launched it out there on a chod. And I must have got picked up like 20 times. Literally, hanger up, hanger down.
Shallow lake.
It's very shallow, yeah. There are deeper areas, but like, I mean, a deep area is like 10 foot. Most of it is a lot shallower. But and then tips up, and I see the tip fold down, and that was it. And it was it's quite mad actually, because I leant into it, and it just took line at that range. There was no weed. It literally just comes and goes very quickly. And it went out, but then it kited round to the shallower corner, which was still chocker with weed. And I couldn't do anything with it. It was just kiting on a long line, and it ended up weeding me up. And another one of Berkey's rules, right? If a fish weeds you up, you got to leave it for 3 hours. Which is like, so I phoned Dempsey up, who was fishing the point, and I was like, "Tell man, I've got a good fish on." He's like, have you spoke to Berkey? I was like, no. He goes, ring Berkey, tell him you had it on for 3 hours. I was like, oh yeah, the 3 hour rule, right? So then I rung him up, and I was like, Steve, I've got one in the weed. Like, how long has it been on for? I was like, oh, 3 hours. Like, okay, I'll come down. Anyway, like, so everyone, there's a few people fishing. They all reeled in and come round, and Tel come round, and we jumped on this boat and we went out. And on this boat, you had this big like metal framed. It's like a salmon net. It was that sort of size. And we went out, and there's this like big sort of like a dome, like a 2-man dome weed bed with a little door in it, and my line was just going through. And when we got over it, I sort of lifted up the rod, and the big plate had just popped up in the middle, and I absolutely shit myself like you would. Hadn't been out for, I think, maybe 18 months, something like that. Anyway, with this metal framed net, Tel just pushed it out and just netted it with all this weed, and yeah, it's sheer elation, and that was a mega carp.
Yeah, let's have a look, Tobes. I mean, like, realistically, Rick, we've both seen a lot of carp. There are not many like that that ever been in the UK.
It is my number one carp I've ever caught, and still is.
I mean, just that, I don't even know if you count that as a scale, but that thing on the sort of back half of the shoulder, is that a scale? Is that several scales together? That great big crescent.
It's just a massive scale, yeah. It's just such an impressive fish. Its mouth was so clean. Its mouth was
giant as well, right?
Yeah.
White.
Yeah, massive white mouth. I mean, it's just, you can see why it's everyone's number one to join that lake. You know, the other stock's great, but that is just next level. But we had to rush because Steve Burke's there. It's very quick, so literally a couple of snaps each side.
Which doesn't detract from it, does it? Ultimately, like,
no, man. It's just I've caught it, and that's the main thing.
And it was what, mid 40?
48, I think.
48.
Yeah, I think
Jesus.
It was 53. I know it was 53 because it was caught the May before. So however that works out in months, it was caught at £53. And I'm sure it was like, I'm terrible with ounces, 48.10 or something. But it was a big carp, and then obviously the year later it was like a lot bigger.
Twice the size almost.
Yeah. So mad fish that. Mad fish.
Yeah, his really historic carp. It's turned out to be one of the most notorious carp that the country's ever produced. You know, right up there with, the 58 pounder that Walker netted off the shallows at Webmont. It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very talked about because of obviously what happened to it.
Yeah, and like as we touched on, it will still split opinion. I know people like Simon Crowe I've interviewed recently, and he believes it's a record. Yeah. I mean, the angler who caught it didn't want to claim it as my understanding.
No, I mean, I got sent all the video footage and all that, and it just looked obscene. And yeah, fair play to it's down to him, isn't it?
Absolutely. But that obviously,
I mean, he caught it fair and square.
Yes. It was feeding, which is mental.
Let's not deny that. Like he said the fight was epic. He netted it and just gone, what the fuck? Like, it's ginormous. Steve didn't let him handle it at all.
Yeah, which is probably sensible, right?
Yeah, of course. And where it was, it's very deep off that swim. You can't get in. It's like 8 foot in front of you. So, it's literally picked up on the mat, unhooked, weighed, and then put back,
Yeah, I mean, none of us know what to do in that situation, do we?
No.
Ultimately, we're not
prepped.
Fishery scientists.
No.
We don't have a
guideline of whatever.
A vial of pituitary to inject him with to bring the spawn in on or whatever, do we? So did you think that it was likely to die from what you knew?
100%.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on there, I don't know what it was, but there's a few fish that didn't successfully
lack
spawn.
Of males were there? Or?
It can only be. I mean, there was a handful, like quite a few commons.
They just weren't doing their job.
No, little horny buggers. They should have got on with it. But yeah, there's one that we called the pineapple common that went from mid 30 to like 50 odd pound and then was never seen again. One called the little plated, which was like 27 pound and then 45 pound and then I can't remember.
It must be that then.
It can only be.
I mean, the big one. Was that a male or was that a female?
Female, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean that sort of seems to do okay.
It looks a long, you could mistake that for a male carp.
Yeah, huge features, big pecs, big tail. But yeah.
I mean, having knocked over your number one, presumably that hasn't in any way affected your motivation to carry on and catch them all.
No, because they're so cool. The good thing about that lake is like all the carp are different. Like, there's some cool, real long mirrors. There's some cool, short, stocky mirrors, some scaly mirrors. Like, there's some real cool carp. And it's not just the big ones. Like, the big ones are great. And obviously, ultimately, we always want to catch big fish. But there's some 30-pounders that go years without getting caught. Like, genuinely.
I mean, I always look at those fish whenever I've seen them and just think they're in the best condition of carp that you could imagine, given that they live in a weedy, snaggy lake.
Yeah. I mean, they are fished for, and they
Yeah.
are fished for in really weird conditions that you would expect their mouths to be knackered, etc. But no, generally, and it surprises me how some of these fish just don't get caught.
Pristine. I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're doing 18 months. They're doing 2 years. They're doing
and longer,
whatever.
mate. There's so many carp that I caught when I fished it years ago, and then they literally might have just got caught recently, like 4 years, 5 years. And I know to the day, like, because when the owner messaged me, or I know lots of people that fish on there and go, "What fish is this?" I was like, "Oh, that's bigtail. That was out 3 years and 9 days ago."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm so anal with it still.
I'm aware that obviously we've talked. The only example of a big one that we've shown is one that you had on a choddy. So let's talk about when it really got rocking with the particle approach.
So after COVID time, I was now going to make time. So obviously, because it's quite a lot of money, I wanted to get on there and actually do it. So I made a point of actually doing my time. But coincidentally, so the year before COVID 2019, I set up my new store. So my time was taken away. I still done quite a few nights, but I didn't do all my nights. Then COVID come. That was obviously, I lost a lot of fishing there, but I was well and truly on the particle. I think my first trip back after COVID, I had, again, another 5 or 6 fish hit, chestnut common, the scatterlin, like some named fish. And basically, what would happen was, it was very apparent. People would fish the spring and they just fall into that spring tactic, like genuine, and people couldn't get out of it. And then I would turn up, and no matter how it'd been fishing, I would just dump a load of bait out. And for the next sort of 3, my first trips, it would be a minimum of 6 fish, 6, 7 and 9, I think, on my first trips back, which was more than what most people have caught all spring. Like I said, most people, say a top rod angler would have caught 8 fish for the whole spring. I'd catch them in.
Does that mean that actually when you turned up was fairly key? Like that kind of maybe post spawning, is that really the best time to be doing this particle type thing?
The summer ticket was the one.
Yeah.
A, it was more interesting because you're fishing against weed and you're finding spots. And B, they loved bait. They just loved bait. And if you're going there and you're nicking a couple of fish, you're not going to change. And it always took pretty much myself to go down there, give them loads of bait, have a hit, and then it'd be like, "Rick, can you bring me down a bucket of particle?" And when are you coming down? Can you bring me a bucket of particle? Just set the precedent.
Yeah,
completely.
And I think what you've just described is familiar to lots of us. Like springs, yes, it's the most sort of looked forward to part of the year, but it can be really tricky, and people tend to boilie fish it, and it's easy to grab that bag of boilies, pop ups, flicking around, catch a handful, but it's not really kicking off till they've spawned.
No, definitely not. And they want to eat. They want to, obviously, they've just dumped a load of weight, right? So they want to, pile the pounds back on, and they're just carp, and they just want to eat, and they're coming in numbers, and they just smash the spots.
That must be the most exciting thing, mate. When you get, like you discussed earlier, the jacuzzi over the bait. That must be, so let's say it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and they turn up, and you see in that.
Oh, it's jokes. You just know. You just know. But what I learnt was, and this was really important, you can have a hit, and then you can easily ruin your hit by seeing them out there and putting a rod back on it. It would just kill it. So what I learnt sort of the last 2 years, I'd put loads of bait out, and it could be, say, like let's take my last year on there as an example, 2022. My first trip, so then I left it. I want to leave it till like August, so the fish are looking a bit better, back up on some good weights. My first trip back, I gave them a load of bait, and at 11 o'clock at night, I had black spot off the spot. So then that rod just stays in. Take that rod out of the equation. Do not risk it. I'm fishing a small area, but I'm sure within a few casts I could get it back on that spot. But just leave it, and then by the morning I've got no rods out, because then you get another bite, and then you get another bite, and then you just leave it and just let them just come and just feed. And I remember a guy walking into my swim, and it's just like, is that what you're fishing? I was like, yeah. It's like looking like there's no rods out, and it's like, how have you not got a rod back out? I said, I'm just letting them, because I will ruin it. And that was so key, man.
Do you think that extended the life of the spots that you were fishing, because you were able to have that hands-off approach?
Categorically, because they're coming in and they're just, the thing is with this particle as well, because I put it out quite wet instead of dry, like, you know, it's always fishing. So it's always, sinks into the silt, the sediment. So even I've witnessed this with my own eyes on a different lake. I can't see a single thing. There's nothing. And they keep coming back and they are drilling the bottom because the salts and the sugars and everything else is saturated into the bottom. So they're coming back and they're drilling it even though there's nothing there. They want whatever's there, but there's nothing to have.
And how would the spots change? Did you ever get to a point where you're fishing gravel, and would you stop it at that point?
Yeah, because it's like a lot of lakes, right? I'm fishing 19 and a quarter wraps, and then people were like, oh, and I'm fishing 19 wraps, and then those spots get worked, and yeah, obviously, eventually they become a little bit too blatant.
And why is that a red line for you? That the moment that bottom hardens up, why do you stop?
I like, naturally silt would hold more food for the carp, right? I don't mind if it's, I fish on gravel. I've caught loads of carp on gravel or hard spots, but I just like, I want everything to sit into the silt. So if I have to go another rod length behind or to the left or to the right until I find it a little bit and then go again.
So that actually probably pushes you away from other anglers who are quite happy to get the harder drops.
Oh, I've got a crack. Everyone's cracks down, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And I've caught loads of carp on it. But to me, personally, on my terms, I know what I want to fish on.
Let's talk about the big one, black spot, a fish that obviously you were to catch several times.
Yeah, 4 times.
This is one of the biggest carp in the country, though, at the time. I mean, right up there. What's its top weight when you were on there?
66 something. Yeah, I actually saw it. That cove. What was it? COVID year. One of the springs, maybe the year before. It didn't get caught before spawning, and I thought it was 2 carp. And bearing in mind, I'm in this little swim called Pasty Bay, which isn't full of pasties, right? And I've seen like the big leanies come past, which I know is £53, and it's big. And then I've seen another one coming, which I know is like mid-40, and then this thing come in, and I was like, oh, there's 2 coming, and it's swimming straight towards me, and I just thought it was 2 carp. And when it turned, the sun just caught it, and I was just like, fucking hell, man. And it was ginormous. Like if you said someone caught it the next day at £71, I'll go, yeah, you're right, I saw it. And my mate Ant was up a tree in helipad, and he rung me up. He goes, oh my God, I'm watching, this was like a few days later, I'm watching black spot, and its belly is on the bottom, and it is so giant. I said, mate, I know, I saw it a couple of days ago. But yeah, that carp was incredible. I mean, ultimately, I was fortunate enough to catch it. I caught it twice on my birthday, so it likes a July bite. And then I caught it on my last year. I caught it twice. I caught it at the beginning of my first trip back, and then I caught it at the end. But I was infatuated by this big common, the long common.
Which barely ever got caught. Is that?
Never really got caught, man. It got caught on my particle. It got caught the May before, after spawning. It was 57, and then it got caught about 18 months before that, 50 odd pound. But it was just, I will never ever let a carp get into my head like that one did, because I was obsessed with it. And obviously I'm shattering people's dreams because I'm fishing the same way, and I'm catching the same carp. I started to, one rod I would just fish on a single or something off the spot. But yeah, like my mate Ant, who desperately wanted to catch black spot, and I literally go down there and he's fished it all spring and blah blah, and my first bite, I'm like, fucking hell. Send him a picture, it's got black spot, and it's bad, isn't it? So obviously, unfortunately, that fish did die. So it's real bittersweet for me, because I think I was just so engrossed in it that I would have just carried on fishing and just getting repeats.
Let's fire up a picture, Tobes, of black spot, just so we got it out there. Keep going, mate. So there you go. That back up. Yep. Oh, it's like a different scale of carp, isn't it? Really, how big was it there, mate?
62.4.
I mean, there's still vanishingly few people in the UK have caught £60.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it's just obscene. And you hooked it because it rucked. My missus was with me that time. We had a bit of a social. Big house all set up, lovely food. And in the morning, just classic, like rod just melted off, I picked up into it. And when they go, and like I say, that was the end of October, the weed just disappears, like out of that main part of the lake. And it just went and went and went. And then I'm like, this is it. Like, I just know. And then you're in for a hell of a battle, because it just rucks and rucks and rucks. And then, I just sort of got it in to about 30 yards. And I was like, just please be this common. I was like praying. I'm like, please, just please. And then when this massive yellow thing just pops up, I'm like, oh, it's you again, is it, mate? And then you just know that you're in for another 10 minutes under the tip of it, absolutely doing everything it could. But I mean, that was born in the lake, man. That wasn't stocked by King Crow all those years ago. That was proper born from the spawn. And it's,
Well, and in that sense, I'm just trying to think, quick calculations. There's not been many carp born in lakes in the UK that have reached £60.
No.
Most of them were put in at some stage.
Yeah, at some stage, like I can tell you that Nelson was stocked at £8 and a couple of the others, of the known ones. But that was never stocked. Never. And then they got pictures of it historically of, I've seen a picture of it at £18 and then £30 and then...
Do you think it's underrated in a sense that perhaps not many people know about the history of this fish?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to me, it's such a magnificent creature. It is. I remember once, the second time I caught it on my birthday, I caught it at night, and it was like a birthday. I always fish on my birthday. It's such a thing for me. And I just caught it, and I can't remember how big was it, 54 or something. And I put it back, and there was like very weedy. And I put it back, and then I was sorting out my rods, and about half hour later, it was obviously just sulking in this little pool. I walked out, and it fucking, I swear it come at me with so much like, and it just, I was like, oh my, like it proper smashed into me. I was like, you are an animal, mate. You are such an animal. But yeah, I mean, the first time I caught it, it torpedoed out of the water, like again on my birthday, the few years before, but it was £51 then. And when I hooked it, and it kited down to the right, and then I leant into it, and as I leant into it, it come out of this weed and torpedoed across the top. And I was like, shit.
What am I even attached to it?
Mate, it was like a tarpon, like just going out of the water. But yeah, it's a cool carp. Massive, impressive. Yeah.
Let's, before we leave Wingham, just a couple of other fish to look at, Rick, like all your memories around, like briefly around the, go on. So this one?
See, that one's a cool carp. Hard. I only know 3 captures of that fish.
Right. What was that one called, mate?
We called it the black linear, because. But this is really interesting, right? So.
I don't know why that was funny, mate.
The black linear. So basically, Cole Petit, he was up a tree and he said he's watching this black linear, and it's stop laughing, man. And he said it's flexing. You can see all the whites from the scales. And I was like, mate, there's no fish in here like that. Or it didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got all the pictures.
I've got all the pictures. Anyway, that spring, that was the actual full spring I only ever done. I was sat in my swim, and it wasn't that long before that. I would say maybe the week before that Cole told me the story. And basically I had this real jittery take, which I thought was a pike, and I leant into it still thinking it was a pike until it was underneath me, and exactly how he described, I'm now watching this black linear flexing in the water, seeing all the whites from underneath its scales. And it was literally like talked on the hook, and that was, again, I can't remember the weight, but it was 40 odd pound. But that was cool. But then I actually went back through loads. I messaged a few people, they sent me other pictures, and I found it from about 8 years before, and in between my mate Ant had actually caught it, but I think his pictures were darker. I couldn't get the scale pattern, so I only come across 3 pictures of it.
Mega. That's what we're in it for, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, mate.
I was like that.
Blown away. Like, I put it on the mat and I'm just like, what the hell is this thing? Like, what an impressive carp. That was That was a cool one.
Yeah, look at his eye, mate. It's got that look of a fish that doesn't get caught a lot. You know, when they sort of really rotate under like that, and it's like angry and
he's angry. Yeah, he's a nice carp. Yeah.
Big commons, obviously, were in there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few.
Sensational carp.
This is a mad one. I caught this one a couple of times. There's a story behind this as well. So, basically, my missus is a bit of a mystic Meg. And there's another fish that I'll show you in a minute. Yeah. And I was down in fishing Ford Corner, and she's like sending a text, "Night, babe. I got a feeling you're going to catch Nelson." And I'm like, "All right, that'd be cool, Nelson." Anyway, nothing happened. But a swim became available where I wanted to be in this sort of area called Mid Church. So I went up there to fish for the night. That evening, she then texted me, said, "I'm getting a feeling the chestnut, you're going to catch chestnut." And I was like, all right, that'd be nice. Brace of 40s, happy days. Anyway, so I have a bite in the early hours, playing it. Big mirror pops up. Nelson, like whatever it is, 45 pound. Oh, that's mad. And then left the rod up in the bush like you do. Other rod's gone. 2 hours later, that's a big common. Netted it. Chestnut. So yeah, it's a brace of 40s, and she called it to the. I've got the text.
Unreal, mate.
Called it to the T. So yeah, I mean that's a beautiful carp. I love that one.
Colour of the belly is something else, mate.
Yeah, mate, it's cool, and that's the thing. What I'm saying about the stock, because there was probably 5 or 6 40-pound commons in there, and they're all so different. Like you got tails, which is a lot more boxy. You got white belly, which has got a white belly. This one. Tours, which is really long, and then obviously bobs and the long, and they're all just so different. So different.
Let's look before we're going to move on shortly, but Tobes, I think there's a couple more fish to look at if you can.
I sold a lot of red hoodies after that, by the way.
Yeah.
So the fish on...
Is it the tracker one?
No, it's the fish on burgundy.
Fish on one.
We call it burgundy because it's not red, it's not burgundy.
Nice.
And, we sold loads. So yeah, that's cool. That's called the big leanie. Not that it is a leanie.
No.
But it is... I mean, that thing is just an absolute tank. I was actually on the phone to Reed when I had that bite, and he stayed on while I'm playing it. And that thing weeded me up so many times. So I just leave the rod on the edge, walk back, make another cup of tea, all while I'm on the phone to Reed. And I think the phone was in my pocket, and then all of a sudden I've just lifted it up, and it's just come out, and I'm like, fine. And then he's like, you got it. I go, yeah, I've got it. It's like an absolute ginormous meal.
By the way, it's an underrated thing in carp fishing. Your mate getting a bite while you're on the phone to him. It's so exciting, isn't it?
Mate, it happened yesterday.
Right.
My mate Dave, it's happened twice in the last 2 weeks. My mate Dave come down to visit me last week, and as he walked in, I had a bite, and he rung me yesterday. He said, "How you getting on?" I said, "Literally, I've just moved into swim," and it's gone. I'm like, "Wait there!" I just like live bite cam. It's like cool.
Yeah, no, I'm saying from the other side, that's quite exciting when you make it.
Yeah,
well, you want to know what it is.
Yeah, and the mad thing is,
you can hear in the background.
Yeah.
The real one.
And then these were like Aggie males. They were just going crazy. So I'm just going, listen to the clutch. And I was like, I'll call you back. I've got to concentrate. And then he texts me going, what is it then? You're taking ages. I said, no, I've just caught another one. I literally pulled it out and it's gone again. So yeah.
Leaving Wingham must have been so difficult because actually it's irreplaceable. And also you're leaving behind a fish that you couldn't catch.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad circumstances, but like I say, it's bittersweet. So I always thought I was going to catch it. Eventually I'll just bore it out, if anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when you look at that stock and you go, the amount of the big ones that I caught over and over again, like I say, it done me a favour. And I was fishing Chew Valley, and Matt, the owner, just messaged me, and there's no signal on Chew, and he sent me a picture, and I thought, generally when he messaged me, he wants me to ID a fish and, do you know what I mean, see how the weights are doing, etc. And it wouldn't load, and then when I got signal back at the digs, it was this dead common. I just knew straight away what it was, and I actually thought it was Tours, named after my missus, because she predicted another bite and this fish hadn't been caught for so long. And I was like, oh, she's going to be well gutted if I say, oh, Tours has died. But in reality, it was the long, and I was gutted, but then also it just freed me up. So I just get on with other angling.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's only with hindsight sometimes that you realise what you've lost there. But there won't be another lake in England like that, I don't think.
No, maybe the lake next door. I've got my eye on that, and that's a lot bigger. a lot less fish, but interesting. But it's like I say, it's the surroundings. It's that
That's what I mean. The full package.
full package.
You know,
man.
you've got a really, really not so well known stock of giants in a beautiful lake in a silent part of the world. You know,
Yeah.
just you could go on, couldn't you? Weedy, clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they don't come around, mate.
No, they don't, and that's very apparent nowadays, isn't it?
So obviously, with that door shutting behind you, Rick, I guess you didn't necessarily have stuff lined up, but what you did have was the growing business. And I think, as much as I want to make this podcast about fishing, I think your story around the shop is like tremendous. Like, it really is one of the best I've heard in our industry. You know, let's not going to dwell on it, mate, but I think it's doing you a disservice not to mention the kind of unconventional way that you actually ended up running a tackle shop.
Yeah, I mean, I worked as a shop assistant when I was like 15, with no intentions of owning a shop or working in a shop. I was actually studied to be a graphic designer, but then I had the carrot dangled at 18 to run the shop because the manager was leaving, so I kind of like fell into that, and I was there for a few years, and then kind of had enough and wanted to go and explore the world. So I actually took a couple of years off, a year off initially, sort of travelled the world, with, again, no intentions of going back into the tackle industry, but ended up going back, working for them, and then ended up going travelling again. And then when I come back, I literally said, I've got to get out and do. I had nothing lined up, so I ended up leaving, and I had no money at all, no job. It was January, which is like awful, and so I was a little bit down in the dumps, and I was just on eBay, and I found a tackle shop that had shut their doors and had a load of excess stock they wanted to sell. So like I say, I didn't have any money, didn't have any work, so but I did have my last 3 months of paychecks, so I then got this £7,500 loan based on that, which was a little bit naughty, but I'd done it anyway, and then got a van and drove up to Doncaster and brought a load of this old excess stock, like, you know, whatever it was, carp or this and that. And
Was
all
there
the
no
other stuff.
moment at that within that period that you were like, this is a massive risk?
Oh God, yeah. But I knew, A, I can sell, and B, I knew the product because I've been brought up with it for so long.
Yeah.
So I could look at all of the stuff. He had like an itinerary of all the stuff that he had, and I know what I was paying for it, and I know what I could sell it for. So instantly I just filled up this van, took it home, loaded my bedroom at my mum and dad's house with all these boxes of stuff and my dad's shed and whatever else, and then just started listing, and, you know, quickly got a good return so I could pay the loan off and then, you know, start selling from the bank effectively.
And you did that. You had the discipline to pay the loan before you took any money yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had, you know, what did I have to pay out for myself? I fished a few nights a week. I went out once with my mates a week, so I didn't really have much. Not like I had a mortgage or I was paying rental rates. So yeah, what I got back, I paid off.
So you've done this. You've got rid of the first lot. You're still not a tackle shop owner, though.
No, I'm still Ricci trading from his bedroom, like selling on eBay and locally. And then I was actually on holiday, and someone rung me in the trade and said there's a really good shop that's you know, gone into liquidation. Here's the receiver's number. So I rung her up, and I said, look, I've been told, and, you know, I'm very interested. She said, all right, when you're back, come up and see it. And basically that was like the turning point completely, because I went to this shop, unlocked the doors, and it was like walking into the most packed tackle shop you can imagine. And basically the price included everything: counter, till, security cameras, racking, fixtures, fittings, you named it. So I met the woman, we had a good chat. I asked her how much she wanted for it. Again, I didn't have that sort of dough. It wasn't loads of dough, but I didn't have that sort of dough. And she said, all right, I go back, there's a few other people interested. I was like, no, I don't want to play that game. You know, how much do you want to secure it? And she literally said, give me an extra £100, but I want it in cash and I want it in 7 days. And I'm like shake my hand, like, I couldn't believe £100, like, it's nothing. So anyway, I went back. I had to I spoke to my dad. It wasn't a lot, but I sort of borrowed some money off my dad and borrowed some money off my granddad. But I paid them back like instantaneous. And yeah, we went up in 3 Luton vans and just, got everything, mate. Like trade packs of stuff and Shimano reels and alarms and, do you know what I mean? Like,
and you were going to have no premises though still?
So my friend owned a scrapyard, so I rung him up and said, have you got any lockups going? He said, actually I have. So then with the racking that we got from the shop, I then set up in this lockup, and I'd done it all properly, like it was like a tackle shop. And obviously I've been in the trade for such a long time, I had a customer base already. So now all of a sudden I've got like leads and PVA and like loads of stuff.
But how are you getting the word out though?
People just knew. So I'm fishing a lot. So I was literally doing 4 nights a week, working and fishing. I had a little laptop, so I was working off the bank. And then people, I go, I've got that. Are you coming to the lake?
And were you dragging them off other people because of price? Like, how do you get established in what is a very settled industry?
No, I mean, a lot of people, they were pals, right?
Right.
So they used to shop with me before, and it's like, it's Rick, he's coming to the lake. Can you bring me 10 3-ounce tawnies and some whatever? And that's just how it grew.
And could you get accounts at that stage or not?
I couldn't get accounts. I had a couple of touches through the back door, shall we say, but I couldn't get accounts. I didn't apply for accounts. I didn't know where this was going.
Yeah.
At the minute, it was funding, because what I paid for this stock and what I earned was amazing. And it was funding for my lifestyle. All of a sudden, I was like...
So you're spending every penny?
Every penny. Paid off my dets and then spending every penny and going on loads of holidays, fishing France and Belgium. It's just holidays fishing.
And is that attitude symptomatic of perhaps the idea that, again, you still didn't think there was a future necessarily in this? Like, you're going to spend it on living in the moment?
100%. I was young, mate. I was like 24, 25, 26. I had a real good few years of just doing what I wanted when I wanted, with no attachment. Didn't have a like I say, a building to pay for or staff or anything else. And it was just literally day by day. But I think that's from my travelling background, like of being a backpacker for so long, living off a shoestring and doing what I wanted. Don't fancy this place, let's go there. Do you know what I mean? And it was just a nice, frivolous sort of lifestyle.
I mean, you're sort of clearly a really entrepreneurial spirit, if that's not too cliche. Like, is it in you, do you think, that sort of thing? Like your natural ability to sell, and your natural ability, sort of proclivity towards taking risks?
To sell, 100%. And in any business, you have to take risks. If it's not risky, then, what have you got to gain? You have to do that. You have to put yourself out there.
But most people will look for security in life, and it seems like you weren't interested in that at all.
No. People like going to a day ticket lake and catching 20, 15 pounders. It's whatever you like. If you want to work in full-time employment, you got security, you got holiday pay and sick pay and blah blah, crack on.
Which you knew you'd never have, right?
Knew you'd never have. Didn't have any wages for years and years and years, let alone like holiday pay or sick pay. And that's why all the fishing stopped. It's the sacrifice of what you want to do. But I knew I could sell. Like, that was a given. I had a customer base because I've been in the industry for so long. And you either make it work or you don't. And ultimately, when it sort of come to that point of where all of a sudden all the tickles were stopping because the bigger boys were now getting the stuff for the receivers, I had to make that decision. And it's like, do I open a shop or do I go and get a job elsewhere? And I went for the shop side. And I found an office building which I had to get planning permission to change of use, and then it just snowballed from there, where I had this shop which was like 900 square foot, thinking, how the hell am I going to fill it up, to all of a sudden, oh my god, we got to get containers because now we filled it up, and everything I earned went back in. The cool holidays stopped and everything else, and everything just went back into the business.
And where was the trade at that point? And how do you become successful in a trade that many see as tough?
The trade has always been tough. I mean, obviously, previously to that, when I worked in retail, the internet wasn't about, or really for competitive prices, and you just based your sales on having the stock and having the service. I wasn't in a position to offer prices, and I still stand by that. I'm not a discount merchant. I've refused to be that shop because Korda or whoever it might be spend so much money in manufacturing, developing, importing, paying people's wages, to have a product that's then absolutely carved up. My ethos has never been that. My ethos has always been to have the stock and give the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'm very
Which is what a traditional shop would have done, right?
I think so. And for me, like, you know, I've done a lot. So in such a short space of time, I've travelled loads of places, like be it Europe fishing or Canada or Thailand or Australia. And you said to me, I'm going to go and fish the St. Lawrence. I can tell you how I would fish that. And that, I think, goes a lot further. You know, I've had customers come and shop with maps of rivers in France or whatever, or Belgium or lakes or regions. And I'm going, go here to get your license, go there, because you're giving information, you know. And I think that stands good stead going forward, because he's all right. Do you know what I mean? He'll help us out, sort of thing, as opposed to he does that. And I've had it with people come in the shop, and this is the thing, right? Someone comes in and goes, how's that lake fishing? I go, it's fishing slow, but if you take this and take that, fish in this area, I think they're coming out down there and you go and catch. How'd you get on? Yeah, I caught a few. Sweet. How much can you do these reels for? And I go, 90 quid instead of £100. I can get them for 75 online. Go and get them. But when you want to know how that lake's fishing next time, please ring them up and ask them, because that's why you're paying the difference. And then they're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, how much does Fishon, for instance, in a world of tackle shops which, you know, are owned by big brands now, how much does it have to have its own character, and how sort of like mindful have you been of developing its own identity?
Mate, I mean, we touched on this earlier. I wouldn't say I was the first, but I was certainly the early days of doing the silly videos to captivate audiences, you know, impersonating Dan, impersonating Terry with the nuts and all this sort of stuff.
Everyone remembers that, mate.
Yeah, and just it was cool. Like, you know, I'll be up in Manchester at a fishing show, and they'll be like, oh, it's the Merry Fishmas, man, how you doing, and all that. Or they'll come back, been eating any tiger nuts recently? And that's cool to have that sort of recognition. And I'm not doing that on price. I'm not saying, look at this, look at that, and you can save X amount, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing it because, you know, we want to be noticed in a different way. And I wish a lot of tackle shops, it's not about carving, because there's no jerry in that, because the profit isn't amazing, right? And then, you know,
it's about relationships, isn't it? I guess for you, know, like
relationships keep coming back,
and that can be people who use you online as every bit as much as it can be people who use you.
Yeah, I've got people that I've never met that I have real good conversations with on Instagram or whatever, or they come up to me at the show and they go, you don't know who I am, but I've been following you, I'm like, you know, and they buy stuff off you. I
mean, we're going to talk now a bit about, I guess, what having grown Fishon has yielded for you, and that's a little bit more time to fish. You know, and it can't be a coincidence that, yes, you've always caught them, but the last few years have been like insane, the numbers of big ones you've had.
I think if you give an angler time, if they're a capable angler, like, and wants to get up in the night to check spots and wants to lap again for the fifth time or whatever, you just give them time and it's over. Personally, time is the most precious thing in it. I'm not just talking fishing, I'm talking about anything.
Yeah, I feel a little bit like what you just described could be applied to what you've done in business. You know, like that kind of relentlessness, and the fact that you know, perhaps you don't need that much sleep, and perhaps you don't care.
Yeah, I mean, people who know me know I'm an insomniac. That is the facts. Do you know what I mean? And people are quite easy to judge on success, but they don't understand the late nights, the hard work, the thinking this is going to fold, the no money.
And what? How do you? Is that a fear thing that keeps you awake?
Oh, ultimately. Yeah, like, because, you know, when you haven't got enough money to pay the VAT bill, you can't not pay your VAT bill. So you've got to work out how you're going to do it. And this is because I didn't borrow. You know, initially I borrowed that money to start up for my bedroom. But then since then, and if you think where I've scaled to, from a bedroom and a shed to a small shop to now a 3,500 square foot store with staff, that is with no investment. Like, and I had a lot of people that wanted to invest, but all off my own back.
Yeah.
That is just hard work, you know.
How hard is it to say no to people who want to come in and take a slice?
Very
even
easy.
Though you need the money.
Very easy, because it's my baby, innit?
Yeah.
So I've nearly fell in the trap, but I wouldn't do it. So it's because ultimately it's my decision.
Yeah.
You know, it's mine, and if I want to do it that way, I'm doing it that way.
Yeah, fair. And to the point where now you've got staff you can trust and you can go fishing a bit more. And where was the first place that you really kind of brought that to bear, do you think, since you've had a bit of time to fish?
Well, it would have been Wingham, really.
Yeah.
You know, that was the start of it, because all of a sudden I'm like, I can work remotely, you know, because in my shop I do the boring stuff. Do you know what I mean?
You're on the laptop.
Yeah, so
Ordering,
anything.
yeah.
So I'm obtainable on a phone. You know, you got a problem, you phone me. I can do everything online. So now I'm just like, right, I'm going to capitalise. So 2 days a week during the week, I will be fishing, and rightly so. I think I've worked so hard that now, why did I start the shop? Because of my passion for angling. That is the facts. And I gave up so much stuff at the infancy of it, and now I'm going to reap that back.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps we'll close things with Welly, but let's talk a little bit about stuff you've done before that. I mean, I'm fascinated by the little lake that you fish, RG Fisheries, mainly because I have friends who've fished very similar lakes in Kent.
Yeah.
You know, Kent is not a county blessed with big gravel pits everywhere. The countryside is peppered with farm ponds, club lakes, and this is very much like one of them, but supercharged.
Yeah, I mean, Lily's so fortunate that a really good friend of mine brought it. I didn't know he was buying it. He just come into my shop one day and just said, I've just brought, he was known as Petrich back then. And it's a very personal lake to me, because I actually got my very first fish there. So it holds many fond memories of me and my mates fishing it all summer, driving people mad like crazy. And my dad and my brother built the bridge that goes over it. So it's got that emotional attachment as well. And that bridge is such a thing of that lake, right? It is like the flagship of that lake, you know. But yeah, my friend brought it and invested a lot of money. He'll never get his money back in what he's chucked into it. And ultimately it's turned out to be this incredible little venue.
Yeah, you look at it and you think it cannot have a stock like that.
Joke stock. It just, I mean, it's, the lakes are on tiers, so there's 4 lakes there.
Which is just, for those who've never been and fished in Kent, kind of like, there are lots of wooded lakes on streams, aren't there?
Yeah.
Which, you know, like these tiny pools.
Yeah, they're all sheltered and stagnant almost. Like,
probably would have been good for an 8-pounder back in the day.
Absolutely, 8-pound wildy or little wily old tench or something. But yes, because this lake is tiered, you have that water that constantly going through it, and it's in the valley, so the wind just hacks through. So it just creates such a perfect environment for these carp, and they've thrived. Like some of the carp that I used to catch when I was 13, 14, you know, stunted little things, and now getting on for 40 pounds.
We've got a picture of one of the ones that you caught when you were young, haven't we?
There's two there, yeah.
Just in the RG one, Tobes.
That's one of them. That's another one of them.
I mean, it doesn't look like an ancient carp, but talk to me about that.
That carp's
what do you know about them?
Yeah, I mean that was the club that had it before never stocked it. Like, never stocked these lakes going forward. So they had one initial stock, which was full of these old, you know, mirrors and commons, which were like, you know, they weren't ever going anywhere. I think that might have been like 17, 18 pounds forever. Forever and ever. And then Rich has owned it, and I think that was just under £39. And if you said to me, here's £100,000, I bet you I can get this fish to over 30, and I'm like, it's 45 years old probably, and it's like £18, not a chance. And there it is, like, and it's beautiful, like, it's incredible.
How has this happened? Like, how has he actually because that fish would have had to have grown in every dimension. Yeah, good. Skeletally maybe included at 45 years old.
Yeah, good management. He's got a John who helps him out there. Like, he runs the fishery really well. They've taken the right trees out so it gets the wind. Like I said, it's got the tiered water constantly.
Do they feed it? I mean, is that
used to get fed in the closed season when they shut it and sporadically through the winter. And then they've taken out, so it gets netted every year. The ones that aren't doing it go to another one of these lakes. So you're just left with, you know, a real healthy stock of fish that just keep on growing.
Which would be the other one, mate? Sorry,
that one. Yeah.
So you caught these?
I've got a picture of me with that one, like, and I was little ginger curtains years ago, probably 13 years old, and that is a cool carp. And I've caught that one about 5 times since Richard. It's quite friendly, and I actually caught it using my original Armalite Mark 1s, which I would have used when I was 13. stalked with my old Daiwa reel, stalked in the edge, free lining, which was cool to catch an old carp that's been in there forever. And that's like 33, 34 pound now. And that was always 13, 14 pounds.
It's amazing, really. Like you
Incredible.
say, almost unbelievable.
I would have lost money.
Yeah.
100%.
And what does it take to succeed on the? Because I feel I've been there and filmed with you actually, and it feels like it's a tricky little.
It's well
proposition.
tricky. Like, it's so tricky. But I used to save it. I've kind of spoilt myself with it because there's so many carp now which are well into £40, which look incredible, by the way. And I kind of, where I've used to save it for every April, I'd have April on there only, and then maybe a bit when I come to the shows, I can go down and have peace and quiet, work on my show bits, but have the rods out. I used to go there and fish very accurately, but using a washing line setup, so there's no lines in the water, and clump them.
But because they are classic small water carp that know you're there.
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. And realistically, you're fishing one side and casting to the other. So you got these lines across the water. I mean, line lay's massive for me. Like, categorically, the biggest thing I look at now when I go into any swim of how can I fish for them without them knowing that they're being fished for. And in that instance, I could fish the washing lines and fish from me to you out with only that much line in the water. And that was just caught so many doing it. So many.
You obviously, having filmed you there, it was probably the first time I've seen the kind of way that this slightly eccentric way that you have your rods and net set up. Like, is that has that got anything to do with line lay? I mean, why do you do it? Just for clarity, you fish with your rods pointed skywards. Almost.
Yeah, they're not maybe as pointed up. They were this week actually,
Right.
but not as extreme. But yeah, that was all about sinking line and being incognito as possible.
But obviously that. It's
Now-
counterintuitive though, right? The higher your tips are, the harder it is to sink your line, right?
Yeah, but when it's hanging off, it's literally just falls from the very tip. I spend ages, so my tips would be in the water, and then I'd lift it up, and my line is just so on the
Draped.
deck. But now I would use 2 or 3 backlids. I've got right into using lots of backlids to pin it.
Oh, really?
Down. Yeah.
Well, and do you do anything mainline wise to enhance that, like you fluorocarbon or braid or anything like that?
Yeah, I much prefer to fish braid, sinking braid with a leader, fluorocarbon leader. Welly, you can't use braid, so I've just been using fluorocarbon and heavy stuff like 16-pound fluoro. So I know it sinks.
Obviously, apart from when you're washing lining, it's bowstringed across, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Presumably at that point, what you've got on.
No.
But yeah, no, it's just you don't see people fish like that, mate, with the tips right up.
Yeah, no, I mean it was cool because this week, I've been sitting there just watching the tip fold down. It's so
Is that
exciting.
the bit you enjoy? Is that why you have them up, just to
I
get
mean, that's
that?
probably got something to do with it because I love that. But no, the line, I'd spend ages about sinking my lines. My rods will be underwater.
Yeah, I know,
and
but it can't help that the tip having the tips up it doesn't make any.
It's literally hanging straight
Yeah.
off the tip. So effectively, it's not like going out like that.
Yeah,
It's coming
vertically
vertically down. And
Yeah.
where I've taken so much time to sink that line, it's going across.
And what are you able to see liners on the?
Oh, mate, yeah. Yesterday I had that
Yeah,
and then it went. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, completely.
yeah, mega. You've obviously fished. You've mixed it on busy waters as well as like your quieter RGs. In fact, Tobes, before we leave that, I don't leave it entirely because I know it's somewhere that you flip back to. There were a couple of bigger fish, weren't there? This one being that's £40, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Is that a newer fish? That is, isn't it?
Yeah, so one of the VSs that went in there, upper teens probably. But these are cool carp. There's probably, I counted, there's I think 13 that go over £40 that I know of. And I think I've caught 12 of them.
Yeah, you've really fucked yourself, haven't you?
I know.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
probably going to get to £50.
I know they will.
Yeah.
The way it's going, they will. And this one now is probably 45. There's another one which is really nice, which is 42, which I photographed for someone last week. And they're just, but they are black now.
And hang on, you said there are 5 lakes in the chain,
On that one, there's 4. So you've got the top lake, then it goes into a smaller
and
one.
these are just in one of those, though, right?
Yeah,
Or
there's
2
some,
of those, if you like.
the top one's got some big ones in. Yeah, it's got some nice carp in. But it's just a very special place. I texted Rich last week after I fished there and just looking at the stock that it's got. Like, and they're all different, and they're nice, they're clean, their mouths are beautiful, they fight exceptionally well. I was like, this is something, it is really special, and I am kind of gutted that I've caught majority of them. I'm sure there's a few in there that I haven't caught, but the bigger ones, I know that.
Yeah. I mean, it does mean that you've got to go to busier lakes at times. And let's talk a bit about Wickmere and what drew you there, because that is a busy club water, no doubt. Really
busy. Yeah, I mean, that was sort of, I kept getting pictures of this common sent to me, like, there's a bit of you, it's a bit of you, and it was. And I think that year, Dave Levy called it the big one at 53, I think. And to me, I don't think, I mean, it's up there in the best commons, I think, look-wise. It's got a beautiful head, beautiful mouth. Considering it's a club lake, super long, and just the whole thing with it just looked, and I was like, I've got to catch that.
Yeah, and when you visited the lake, what struck you? Because it's very shallow, isn't it?
Very shallow, very weedy, extremely busy with all ilk of angler, not, you know, you got some full bore turbo carp anglers on there, and then you've got matey with a bright blue chair and 2 different rods and whatever else. And it's just, the busyness I couldn't get over, like, because I haven't had that in such a long time since I was a kid, and you know, there could be 6 swims free over there, but matey wants to come next to you and start banging in bank sticks. I was just like, this is just mental. Like, I would never in my life. I put your bag down nice and quietly, where they just, right, mate. But you know, like I say, it's horses for courses. I'm not judging them.
Classic club water.
Yeah, classic club water. I'm not judging them. That's what they do, and that's how they want to go about it. Whereas I'm like full bore still.
And there's loads of carp, I think, or maybe the fewer now, but there were a lot at one stage, weren't there? How did you kind of work it out?
Mate, God's honest, I walked onto that lake, in 15 minutes I found that carp.
Right.
Pure fluke. And where I saw it was where I caught it from eventually. So I walked onto the lake and it zoomed in. Like, it was like, what are you doing? Like, literally zoomed in, and it was underneath me, and I was like, every bit 50 pound, just looking incredible. And I was like, I've got to fish here, because I was in 2 minds of where I was going to, because I saw how busy the car park was, and I saw the amount of bods, and the swims are really close together. I was like, do I want to put myself through this? And within 50 minutes I was like, it is all or nothing now. And that's exactly what happened.
And could you do, you know, could you sort of bring to bear your normal approach on that sort of a lake?
Yeah. So
did you look at it and think, these guys aren't putting in 10 particle?
No, I looked at it as if I sort of knew an area that it liked, because a few of my pals have fished there and told me it liked this area, which coincidentally is the same area where I saw it from. And I just thought, I have to fish this area to catch this carp. I'm not interested about the rest of the lake. My thoughts have already been confirmed by what I've been told and what I've been seeing. And now it's just presenting. So my first trip I went there, I caught, I want to say 3 or 4, and it blew my head up, because I should have caught more, because I've seen so many more. And I remember driving home thinking, how am I going to catch? And my brain goes full bore, no music on, don't ever have music on. I'm driving back from the lake and I'm just like, how am I going to capitalize on this? So I was fishing, exactly the same. So my little S2 13 millers, my mixed particle, my crumb, salt, same, and I caught carp, but I knew I could catch more. So then I hatched a plan on line lay, completely different. It was very obvious to me how people would fish this swim, because there's a couple of real cool features that you would fish to it. And I basically changed that approach, and my next trip I caught 9. Including the second biggest in the lake on my second trip, which I think has been like 52 pound, 51 pound, one called the Heart Tail, which was just like this mammoth, beautiful.
We've got a picture of that?
You got a picture of that? Yeah.
That's Wick.
That's that one there,
Tell us, without, I mean, it's up to you to keep whatever you want to keep, but what did you change with line lay versus what you thought was happening?
So on that swim in particular, that was like, this is short range.
Yeah.
Really short.
So some might consider that line lay doesn't even matter.
Line lay is so important. I remember years and years and years ago reading an article by Alan Danu, and he said, and it stuck with me forever, and I tell people this a lot, the best way to catch him is not fish for him. And that is the biggest, biggest thing, I think. So that, I was only fishing 2 rod lengths out, and I'd have 3 backlets on that. You know, I've created a line. I'm pinning my line down. I'm fishing a fluorocarbon leader. Rod tips are back. The line's just dripping off, and it is just. And then the other rod, this was the game changer. There's a spot opposite, which is obviously like you go into the swim, you see this big bush, you go, I'm going to put a rod there. So then I took that. Everyone does that. So then I found a spot down here, so I could still fish 2 rods, but a little bit of getting the drop, a little bit of raking. I then gave them the freedom to come into this bay. And so, you know, you could fish it with one rod, I'm sure, but I caught loads off this other rod as well, so I'm glad I didn't. But they could just come into the swim, circulate, and yeah, it just worked from the get-go. I could fish very tight, very accurate, hand feed, you know, walk around the back. There's all undercut, these snags, and go around there and get bait out. And that was that was literally from then on, it was just bites galore.
Ever any doubt that the big one would come?
Genuinely, I can't believe I didn't catch it on the first sort of run. So I fished up until September. So I started in mid-June. Yeah, started in mid-June and fished up to December. So very short. My fishing on lakes is short. So that was that. But if I couldn't get in that swim, I was grizzling. But most of the time, I'll just wait. And I'd go and have a little go elsewhere, and I'd just be keeping an eye, and then I'd get in.
What if there's a guy float fishing in there or whatever? You'd
just wait till he goes.
Yeah,
because that is where I had to catch it from, and it was just like I say. I caught the following week. I caught the silver common, which was a real
picture, I think.
Yeah, that's a cool carp. So everything was just being confirmed. To me, it was just a matter of time.
And you're catching A team straight away, so that gives you that confidence. Presumably, that's a lovely carp, isn't it?
That's a mad one. That fought like hell. I think it's either called the silver common or the grey common. I think people call it 2 different things. But yeah, that was a mad fish.
I mean, that is very, very typical of those Essex Club waters, that particular sort of common.
It's the face, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that snout.
Whether that's like the Braxted fish or the Willows fish as was, or the other fish that have come through in those lakes. They're that's kind of what Essex is known for in many ways, isn't it?
I didn't realise that they were quite beaky, a lot of the carp. You know, the ones I caught out of Top Lake, Ashbury, similar. You know, they are, but cool. Like I mean,
Ashbury's literally across the field, I guess.
Yeah, literally, you could cast to it. Terry Edwards could, yeah. But it's that was a cool fish. So I ended up catching loads and loads. So many 30-pounders.
Was there?
Yeah. Me and Bridger come down for a social. He fished next to me. We had a great time with barbecue and that. And we've now got a thing now called 33. Like he messaged me this trip, and no, I had a bite. I was on the phone. I had a bite to him, and he's going, "I bet it's 33," and it was £33. We have this thing. I remember one sort of afternoon night, I caught 6 fish. The smallest was £33. So it's got a good stock.
And actually, it was a lake that had a load of small, what you'd consider cricket-back commons in the past. So
like hundreds, mate. Yeah. And it is such a difficult lake because if you think
it's chewed up some good anglers, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that speaking to people, going, there's this like so many carp in there, and I've never seen shows like it where you could literally count 200 shows, and they're all this like tiny, and it's busy. Loads of swims taken, so you think it's a real needle in a haystack.
Why do you think you caught the better fish then?
I don't know. Probably a number of factors. They like that approach in bait. Everyone was boilie fishing from what I saw. I was on the particle, and I think that line lay, I can't stress how important that is to make them think that they're safe and they're cool and they can come in and just feed.
And were you prepping?
When I left. Yeah, I never went before because it's too busy. You couldn't. So when I left, I would
load it up.
Yeah.
Oh, within reason, I guess.
Within reason, yeah.
Presume whatever you had left, or
whatever I had left.
Yeah.
And it would all go in.
What are your memories from when you did manage to catch the big one?
So obviously I'd done the whole summer previously, which was cool. Like 40 or whatever carp, 40, 50 carp, I think. And it was great. And I was like, I know that I'm going to catch it from there, but it's getting in there. So my anxiety would be through the roof when I turn up. And I remember going to the lake that first trip, and I always get to the gate and I'm like, my heart is pounding. Every lake I turn up to, I get very anxious. And I turned up at the lake and there's so many cars in the car park. And I was like, here we go again. Can I do another summer of this? Because it is busy, it takes it out of you. And I know where I need to be. And there's nothing more frustrating than, I mean, don't get me wrong, it gets caught other places, but this is where I thought I was going to catch it. And I remember turning up that swim and all the others were taken naturally. And I walked down to the other end and found, because there's so many carp, you could find them in every bush, really. And I found a couple of half decent looking fish. I thought, I'll set up here and I'll just fish up here. And I got one rod out and I was literally about to, I think I was feeding some floaters. So I put one in the edge and I was feeding some floaters. The odd fish was coming up. And this guy walked round. This is a few hours later. And I'm quite a messy angler when I start. So I'm making bait and I've tied up some rigs. I've got my tackle box there and the call box is open because I've got my milk and blah, blah, blah. And this guy come round and he was a new member and he was just chatting to me. And I was like, it's busy, isn't it? He goes, yeah, is it always this busy? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, all those swims there, they're all taken. He went, no, that first one's free. I literally went, what? He went, yeah, no, there's someone on that swim, but that one's free. And I literally picked up my rod, reeled it in. I just started packing all my stuff off. And I literally packed everything. He's still talking about where he's been fishing. And I just loaded my barrow and I went, mate, I've got to go, see you later. And just walked off. He must have thought, hey, what an arrogant arsehole, you know? Anyway, I got into the swim and I caught 5 that trip. So that was my first trip back. I caught that silver common again on my first trip back. And I caught another one of the A team, the one they call the Scar. And then I caught another one which, because they've had a real good spawn out, another one which is normally like 38. Anyway, that was that. So I was like, thoughts confirmed again, back in that swim, just clicking repeat from last year. And my mate Jack, who has become a really good mate, who I actually met at the lake, he was like my intel. So I'd speak to him and he'd go, so I would say pack up Friday morning. He goes, yeah, my mate went in there, done Friday, Saturday night, didn't have anything. I'm like, okay, cool. He goes, and then he left and then his mate went in there and he done Sunday and Monday. He didn't catch anything. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm going down on the Wednesday morning. Anyway, I turn up at the lake, 5 cars in the car park. I'm like, amazing. Lake's quiet. Guaranteed someone will be in that swim, but, you know, fingers crossed. As I'm walking down, you know, that long driveway to the gate, someone's coming up with a barrow. I'm like, 4 cars in the car park. Come on. Walk around the corner. Sure enough, those swims all taken. The rest of the lake completely empty. I'm like, oh, bollocks. Anyway, so I go for a walk around the lake and then another lap. And then I see matey in the middle swim started packing down. I'm like, okay, I'm getting close. And then I go and stand up at the end swim. And I just see the telltale of the carryall come out in front of the bed chair and the cool bag. And I'm like, he's packing up. And then with that, he has a bite. Anyway, so I'm like, right, I'm just going to you know, you sort of skip round because I think he's going, but now he's got a fish. Is he going to carry on, end up staying because he's caught one? I don't know. Anyway, I see him unhook this fish and let it go. And I walked in. I was like, all right, mate. I said, any good? He went, oh, I've just had one. It's my first one. I've been here for 2 nights. I was like, oh, mad. I said, are you down for another night? He goes, no, I'm packing up now. I was like, I'm just going to put a bucket in this swim, if you don't mind. I probably won't fish here. I'm just going to put a bucket and have a look. He's like, yeah, you crack on. Anyway, so I literally walked round and I was like just waiting behind a tree, like watching him until he's gone. And as soon as he's gone, I've got my barrow and gone in there. And then, yeah, mate, just clicked repeat. Same spot, bait. And then in the morning, Jack messaged me. He said, how are you getting on? I said, I've had 5. Up to like, I was just, because they're all commons, in the end I was just unhooking them and letting them go, probably up to 30 odd pound, just letting them go. And I texted him on my phone, I said, target is 9 fish with white tips being in the mix. And then on my 9th bite in the afternoon, I had this sort of real decent bite from the edge, lifted up into it. It took a load of line, but as it was taking line, it was coming up in the water and it got to the back where the bush was, broadsided, and I just saw this massive golden like flank. And I was like, oh, it's hardtail. Not again, like I've caught it twice. I saw it that morning, hardtail. Anyway, come back in and then in front of that swim it's quite deep and the fish just went really, really deep. And it was like proper going in the weed, like giving me loads of ag actually. And for the first time out of all these bites, so I probably had 50 odd bites out of this swim, it picked up my other line. I was like, oh God. And obviously I got all the back leads out, so it's a bit carnage. So I lifted up the rod, undone the bail arm, chucked the rod up against the tree and then the fish started like giving it head shakes, and then the whole tree was moving. I was like, oh no, so now I'm tangled up in the tree. So then I literally wound down and just slowly lifted up. This fish is giving it the big one, and this white tipped tail just come out of the water like Excalibur, you know. I was just like, and I full bore lost it. I'm very composed when I'm fishing normally, but I lost the plot. My heart was just racing. I was like, this is it. And I just sort of leant into it, and I literally threw the rod behind me. I grabbed the spigot of the rod, and because I've got those really long landing net handles on my net, I pulled the rod back, and the fish just come up, and I just scooped it up like the most unorthodox way of netting a carp. And just the elation of it, just going in, dropping the rod, just going, oh my God. Like, and it was just there in the net. I was like, I can't believe it. And I didn't catch any more carp. I'd done the night. And yeah, that was it.
Mega carp, mate. And one that feels like it was probably so hard won because of the odds against you on the busyness, the number of other fish.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. Like the amount of carp that's in there, the amount of anglers. It was one of them, but I just knew that if I could just get in there, I'd catch it. And
it's a freak, isn't it, as well? That look at it, 50 pounder there, or
no, it spawned out. Had a real good spawn, but actually, I think it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it looks decent and in proportion.
The crinkly tail's cool, isn't it?
The whole thing, mate. It's just, it's so impressive.
I bet you were buzzing to get off though, weren't you? Off a busy, off a.
I literally cartwheeled out the up the driveway because it's. You can very easily, like, if you can't fish how you want to fish, because, I don't own the swim, but I knew I'd catch it from there. My plans are all hindered. I'm like, then what do I do? I haven't got a plan B. Everything is in that. And that's how I knew I was going to catch it. And, yeah, mate, literally caught it where I saw it that very first time.
And how often are you right about this sort of thing? Do you, when something clicks in your mind, does it generally work out?
More so recently, yeah. I have like I think it's my missus's Mystic Meg rubbing off on me, but I have this mad intuition that on the text I can show you white tips. Do you know what I mean? And that's happened so many times now. I really strongly believe in manifestation. I do. If behaviour breeds behaviour. If you're someone that is always down in the dumps, if they don't have bad luck, they have no luck, then you're going to attract it. And I genuinely seriously believe that. So and if you go to a lake, I'm fishing rigs that I know, bait that I trust, I've got my eyes that I can see, then it's going to happen personally.
I mean, let's stay in Essex. Let's talk about another giant, a fish that probably emerged over the last 5 years. Another VS. I think one of the biggest VS carp in the country. Tell us a little bit about how that opportunity came about. None of this is overly close to your house, presumably, being adjacent county.
No, I'm in Kent, obviously, so it's a bit of a slap. But again, I get sent pictures of fish. Oh, you'd like this one, or blah blah blah. But a guy I do business with owns the lake, and he said in conversation that he owns a lake, and I've had so many people say they own lake to me, and then they show me a picture and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a nice one, but I would never fish for it. But initially I was more intrigued about the other stock, because he said he's got this freak that has gone massive, and I didn't actually see a picture of that, but he showed me these other ones which I was just like, oh my God. Because like I say, I'm not always hyped up, and then I get let down by these carp that I don't personally find that appealing. And he showed me a couple of these real old carp, and I was like, that's mega. I was like, and then I didn't punish him straight away, but I was like, if ever a ticket becomes available, if you can put me on the list. And yeah, a little while later, I got a ticket. But that was last year, so that I actually got the ticket in April, and I started mid-April. Again, I've never seen the lake in my life, and I just drove up there. Small lake, 5-ish acres, but interesting. Lots of bays, couple of islands, snaggy bits, reeds, like beautiful, kept really nice.
Former Cemex lake.
That's right, yeah, part of that. So they've got a lot of that. When Cemex done all those stocking, a lot of the stock's still in there. And again, they've got an array of different carp, from cool little black linears to big dumpy mirrors that Cemex would have stocked, and then obviously to the newer VS's. And that lake I just turned up at I turned up just before dark, so not the best time to turn up, but it is what it is. I'd done 2 laps, didn't see anything, and then I thought, all right, I'm just going to set up in the middle. So I got good vista. I'll stay up late. I'll get up early. And with that one showed really short, like 25 yards out. And then another one showed on that side, the same sort of distance. So I was like, ran back to the car, got my kit. But I invested quite a bit. Bear in mind, I've seen a couple of carp. I'm here for like 2 nights. I always do 2 nights. So I invested a lot of time in finding the right, because I don't know what's out there. It could be 20 foot deep for all I know, but it's relatively shallow, lots of silkweed. So I spent ages just leading about and finding a nice bit of silk to fish on. And the way I do that is different. When you see a lot of people who feature find, they cast out, they pull the rod to the side to see what they can feel. I actually point the rod at the spot and I pull it back through my fingers. So then everything transmits, so I can feel absolutely everything. And eventually, after 20 odd casts probably, I found a small little strip of silk, which was pucker, on 2 spots. And yeah, I just, again, like didn't change anything baiting wise, particle, crumb.
And you're having to do this after dark, are you?
Yeah, it's fine. Like, used to that, like doing the overnighters when I didn't get to fish, you know what I mean? You have no choice, right? And then, yeah, gave them some bait. Not a lot of bait, probably 7 or 8 spots on each. Nothing throughout the night. And then the next day, started to get bites. I think my first trip I had 5. I had a really nice common, which I thought was the one they call the Dinton common. That was like a mega carp, but it wasn't. And it turns out to be the rarest of the biggest commons in there, like this sort of mid-30 thing, which is a really nice carp. And then, but what it was, I had this bank had like 3 swims on it, but if you fish it, no one fishes the other swims. And it goes back to my line lay. The line lay wasn't right because I was catching, I caught off both spots, but I caught 1 off one spot and I caught 4 off the other, and I should have caught more. So the following week I got back into that swim, but I sat in the middle, found my 2 spots. It was only small, and then I think 8 or 9 that trip. So it's just that line lay made a big difference. But yeah, eventually that was just like bites galore on there.
You get a lot of bites, Rick, don't you? Like,
yeah,
fishing the way you do.
Yeah, I think so. I'm fishing small baits. I'm fishing stuff that keeps them active. I think they're fishing the swim, grubbing around, and it's going to attract other fish. And yeah, that, I mean, I don't know, maybe 45 bites in 14 or 15 nights.
So there was no working out as such.
No, see, that big un, this was the weird thing. So that big un, so I was going to go over to the other lake to fish for that common because the fish started to spawn on Wolf. So basically they shut the lake. So I was like, right, I'm now going to go gung-ho for this common. They didn't spawn. They started and they stopped very quickly. So the owner decided to open it back up. So where I had all my braid rods all set up and all my kit ready to go to the other lake, I literally, the night before I saw the post, I was like, right, back down there. So I changed everything over. And I just had this incredible feeling that I was going to catch this mirror. I knew where I had to be. I knew where I was going to catch it. And to the point that I left a net further down the bank because this fish is renowned for rucking. And I'm like, when I hook it and it goes that way, instead of me trying to get it back, I'll just walk down the bank and I'll have a net ready. And everything fell into place. So from it being shut only a few days before, now it's open because they didn't spawn. I went down there, I got exactly where I wanted to be. And I ended up having about 8 bites that trip. I caught the second biggest, historically the second biggest in the lake. I caught one of the oldest ones in the lake. Which
got a picture of that. Is it that one you've got the picture of, the dark one?
Yeah, that's the real old one, which was like really up there on one of the ones I wanted to catch. I think they call it the dinosaur. It's jet black. And I also caught one called the friendly linear.
So it's second to bottom, Tobes. Yeah. Oh, sorry, no. Third to bottom. Yeah. So that one.
Yeah.
That's the dinosaur, is it?
That's the dinosaur. Yeah. And I think that was stocked in 81 or 82. I mean, that's a cool carp.
Mega carp.
There's a couple like that in there. There used to be obviously a few, but over the years they lose them. There's one called Apple Slice, which was a linear, very similar looking, but that was like unbelievable. And And yeah, so what happened? I was getting bites, and I ran out of bait because I was giving them some bait. And Chris Belcher, who is one of the bailiffs there, he come round. I said I've had, I don't know what I've had then, 7 fish or something, and I'd run out of bait. And he's like, I've got some pellet. I was going to feed them, but I can give you some. So I was like, all right, cool. So he gave me some pellet. So then I just, whatever bait I had left, a small bit of park or a bit of crumb, I just mixed up all of it, whatever I had, and just bombed the whole lot out there. I think I might have been on like 6 fish, because then I had another one in the night, a 20 odd pounder, and then I had this like proper big fish bite, just hit the top, didn't take any line, just sat upright, and mate, I just knew it was it. Like literally, I was so cool. Just swung around, slipped the Crocs on, picked up the rod, and then it just felt heavy straight away, and then just turned and just went like the way I thought it was gonna, all the way down to the right. So I just casually just bowled down there, and it's just getting light, it's lovely, and then it just come past. And I remember listening to Damo's podcast talking about it when he caught it and what it was doing, and it done exactly the same. It came past and I just saw the black spot on it, and I was just like, okay, this is it, pucker, barbless hooks, right? So I'm like, come on, just go easy. And it rucked really hard like it does, and then just come up, netted it, and that was it. Done. Very short, I think. Yeah,
Big 50.
It was, I'm terrible with weights. It was either 54 or 55. I can't remember without looking, but yeah, just and literally finished that. I'm pretty sure that was my 14th night. So it was my 12th night. So it's my 6th trip on there. And then went to France, and then went to Wick, and then caught that one 2 weeks later. So
maybe if Spooner's listening in, could take some advice from you on this one.
Yeah, just feed it, man.
show us that picture, Tobes. That's of the. So there we go. Yeah. I'm interested in these visions you get, Rick. Like your Yatesy style. Do they come to you as like?
This was unbelievably overpowering.
What,
by the way,
like a daydream. What is it like? How did it?
I just knew it was happening.
What, do they come as images? Like, how does it work? Or
I just get a feeling that I've got to go here. I mean, I didn't turn up at the lake, but I was watching the weather. I was like, I've got to be in the middle, because previously to this, I was fishing in a swim called Kits. I was catching so many out of Kits, which is at the far bottom end. And I caught some real cool carp down there, loads of good ones. And then, but I hadn't fished in the middle since my first sort of stint when I'd done a couple of trips on there. And I just had this feeling I've got to be in the middle, and I've got to give them some food. And yeah, it's bizarre. Bizarre.
It's a feeling rather than I don't get these things. So
yeah, it's just a feeling. I just feel like it's like when I feel I want to move, I feel I should have caught. I feel something. I feel I should put some bait in. I feel I should go and look in that corner. You just get a feel.
Very Yatesy. Yeah.
Oh, I wish. The ultimate.
In terms of the way things panned out for you, obviously Welly has been probably the sort of culmination of a few years of exceptional angling. What made you go to a lake which should, in many eyes, slipped past its prime?
I think historically, it's still got loads of cool, well-known carp. And I didn't think it was going to be how I thought it was going to be. I thought I wanted to catch some of those carp because I think they're great. And it's a circuit big fish water still, even though it's obviously not like it used to be. It's still got an exceptional stock, 7 or 8 50s probably, and God knows how many 40s, which is a lot of big carp. I just fancied it.
Hell of a slap for you from Kent, though.
It's actually all right.
Is it?
It's actually all right. So I leave early. This is the thing. I don't set my alarm. I just wake up because I'm buzzed to go. I don't sleep the night before because I'm excited, and I just wake up at 4 and I just go, And he said normally about an hour and 40, so it's not too bad. No. And I'm always doing 2 nights, so it's not like I'm just going there for an overnighter. So it's well worth it. And I just put on a podcast or phone a friend who's fishing, who's up, and by the time that's done, you're at the gate. And yeah, I just fell in love with it straight away. Real good bunch of lads that fish there, and just cool fishing.
So tell people who've never been what it's like. It's in a massive parkland sort of state. Wellington Country Park.
Yeah, but it's not like your normal country park. You got to pay to get in. So for a family of 2, it will cost you probably 80 quid to walk around the park. There's lots of things to do there. There's like a miniature railway and a dinosaur bit and a couple of adventure playgrounds. It's nice, and it's kept, like the groundsmen do such a good job. It's beautiful, like looking, nice calf, it's cool.
30 acres?
Yeah,
35?
35 acres.
Shallow?
Very, very shallow. Bays, very snaggy. And a big island. Yeah, it's got everything you want. If you want to tick the boxes, can I catch them in the edge? Yes. Can I catch them at range? Yes. Do you know what I mean? And everything in between.
And explain to us how the fishing differed from what you thought it would entail.
Because, I've walked it a couple of times. Me and the missus has been up there just for a recce, just to walk around before I even had a ticket or contemplated getting a ticket.
Okay.
It
was tourists.
Yeah, I just fancied it. One day I thought I'd have a go. And I just, from what I've read or seen or heard, I just thought it was a classic bait and weight water, which a lot of people do on there. There's a lot of retired chaps on there who do 3 nights a week, put out a load of bait or whatever, and just sit there and splayed out, not like tramming it free on a spot, but one over there, one over there, one over there, and just wait your turn. And that's what I thought I was, I got a new set of rods even, because I thought I'm going to have to be casting, and my ones were getting tired, and that's what I thought. But actually it wasn't like that. There is that if you want it, and I have fished 30 wraps is probably my furthest that I've fished on there, but generally mine have all come at close quarters.
And this presumably is because from the word go you were finding them
straight away. Like, I turned up and there's a shed that you get all of your unhooking mats and retainers from, and I stood there and I just saw like 10 carp
in the Finger Bay,
literally all next to me in the silkweed. And I left my kit in there, went for a walk just because I wanted to go for a walk, knowing full well that there's loads of carp there. And that very first little swim where I saw them, that's where I'd done my first night. And I actually got told, I got messaged that and told a number of times that particle doesn't work on there, and it did. Like, I literally went out there and just fished how I would normally fish again on my terms. But it's quite cool because it's shallow. I could wade out and I could literally hand place close range. And
holes in the weed, is it?
Holes in, yeah, silkweed. So it's very hard when you're walking or to distinguish whether that is actually devoid of silkweed or not. So it's quite hard just to work out.
And especially if you're kicking the bottom up, you've got a limited window, haven't you, to get the rig in.
But I found this lovely little spot just down this edge, not that far out at all. And to be honest with you, I was in the land of Nod, where I hadn't slept. I've been buzzing and got there early and whatever else. I think I had this bite from hell at like midnight, and I tried to get out of the back of the bivvy, and I was thinking, but that's my alarm. Like, I cut first night, first bite, and I had this like 38-pound common or whatever it was.
They rock in there as well in Welly, don't they? They're
my God,
strong fish.
Yeah, unbelievable. They can't go down, so they fight so hard. And then I moved out of there. The next day I moved into Finger 1, which was further down the arm. I didn't get the rods out until early evening, and I caught 5 that night.
God, so you literally you catch 5 everywhere, mate. It's mad.
Yeah, it's cool. So I was just like, that'll do, won't it?
Yeah.
That's pucker. And then just hit the ground running. And then the following week, I think I had 8 the following week, maybe 8 fish. But I fished the complete other side. Laurie's mate, one of my favourites, fishing up to the side of a snag, and then one out in sort of open water.
And you're casting down to the snag, are you, in Laurie's mate?
Yeah, casting. Yeah, just casting down there.
And is that ignored? That sort of, back on yourself almost on Welly as opposed to out in front?
No, there are a few people that do it. But it's having a lead around, finding the right spot, putting it in the right place, which is safe for a start, fishing locked up and just giving it the big heave.
Are you happy to fish to do that sort of fishing and sit on your rods and the like?
Yeah, I won't move. I literally I have my chair next to it.
Yeah,
it's crazy, mate. And literally the bites from hell.
So when you're sort of locked into that position, are you someone that's on your phone, or are you watching what's going on? I mean,
very, very. I'm on the phone, but I'm on hands free. So I just.
This is why you get so many bites when someone's on the phone to you, isn't it? Because you've got a business that's going on in the background, and you're getting a bite.
Yeah, I mean, it happens twice this trip this week. But I do everything hands free. Or I've got some Meta glasses, so I wear them So then I could just talk, and then people think, who's this like weirdo, like, and I'm just on the phone. But you have to be. You can't fish in those situations and be on the swim next door. You got to be on it.
And you're still quite liberal with the bait in these marginal areas.
What I do, I'm not tight. I won't. So if depending on the spot, but say that swim as an example, casting up the side of the snags, I will spray it up the side of the snag. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just go over and I like a handful of boilies over the top, and then like a mulch of the particle. It kind of goes everywhere, but on the general vicinity. Mm-hmm. I'm not baiting tight. They're coming at this out these snags in all different angles. I just want them to come out and find a bit, and then they can just work it out themselves. You don't have to be tight on that.
I mean, on the technology front, mate, you were on the gram like last week with the Merlin app, which is obviously another way to pass the time for your snag fishing.
I mean, that's just like the first thing to do this morning. I just rolled over, put it on. I haven't even got my head out of the sleeping bag. I've just turned it on. And that's really new to me, but that's been great trying to learn some new species. So while that is passing, like Welly's like such a great place for
Isn't it? Yeah.
You're going to get so much
before the park opens. Beautiful. Before
the park opens and after the park opens, it's your own lake. You wouldn't even know. And in reality, when it's open, you don't get bothered anyway. If you fish the little lake, which is joined to the big lake, then you're right in the mixer. You've got a playground behind you and all that. You're going to get all the carnage. But I've only fished in that one swim maybe twice.
Tell us about them using that lake, though. I mean, it was something you clocked quite quickly, I guess.
Yeah. Someone actually told me about the fish going under the bridge, and then because I would look over and I'd just stand there for a bit and then I wouldn't think. But then when I actually took the time to stand and look, you could be stood there for half an hour, then you would see them come in and out. And they use that a lot. And that was a good ambush point for me, just to rock up and catch one and go. But I found that with a lot of the swims around the whole lake. You'd have your normal swims that are always taken hole in the bush, goose, lorries, whatever, boathouse. But then you got the little corner swims, and this is my style of
which
fishing.
There are a lot on that lake.
Yeah, a lot. And swims that, one bank I've never seen anyone fish. And I fished there about 3 weeks ago and caught a 45 pounder out of it, just because I saw a couple of fish there, and people, because you can get to these areas from other swims, people wouldn't think twice about going in there. But for me, it's about line angle, and you can come in there and fish it differently.
So if I was breaking down your approach for the things you've told me, a very successful approach over the last few years, neglected areas, cleaning your line lay up, making sure the line lay's doable, and spots you can get back in without necessarily too many people even batting an eye about them.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not often in the dolly hole, are you?
Can't get in it. And then it's just, I don't know. I mean, I fished many of the, I mean, I've done one night in Goose, such a good swim. I've done like 30 nights on there.
Not shallow margins though, mate. It's not going to be any good for you.
No, Hole in the Bush, I done one night in Hole in the Bush. And I lapped and I saw one carp show. This is at midnight. I've turned up after work and I've gone in there and I got the rods out at 1. I caught one at 4 and then I packed up and moved.
Why? Because you got the feeling again?
Yeah, I just didn't fancy it. And funnily enough, I then went up to the other end and caught 2 really quickly. I found on Welly, there's last year, I think I fished 5 swims in a day and I caught a fish from each swim within half an hour. It's just getting...
Are you seeing these taking the bait?
I've seen a couple take the bait close, 40 pounders as well, which is exciting. And to the point where they cut and you're like, that's going over, that's got it. Hey, spooked. And then there's that slight delay. You get that thing. But it is fun, exciting. Like, literally put the rod down, and I've gone to go and get another rod, and it's gone. I caught a 39 pounder a couple of weeks ago on my full flap. So, it's 30 odd acres, and I'm now on my full flap. And I could find fish, but no fish I wanted to fish for because you can find them relatively easy, but then it's picking the ones that you want to catch. And in the end, I was like, I can't find the ones I want to fish for. I think they're going to end up in this other swim. So on my way around there, I'm pushing the barrel. I thought, I'll have one last look. And when I looked in there, I was like, water's a different colour. couple of bubbles, and then this big mirror just waddled out. I'm like, oh, fish for that. That's a nice carp. And I literally got into the swim. I'm not rapping. I haven't got any raps. It's all just like casting it, hoping it goes in. And 9 times out of 10, goes in pucker. And I put the rod down. I walked up to get my other rod, and it's just gone straight away. And it was that 39 pounder. That's how quick it goes if you get it right.
Let's have a look at some pictures, Toast. We've got. Is it hardtail? Was that the...
Hardtails? Yeah. See, hardtail was.
So hang on. That's the willow. Hang on. Sorry. What? That's a cool carp as well.
Yeah.
Hang on. Sorry, Toast. We go to the start at the top, mate. Which is the willow, which is like the big one. Is that the big one?
Yeah, that's the biggest one. That was cool. I think my 5th trip I caught that one. That was mad because I fished one swim already in the morning. I caught a 42 pound common within half an hour, probably less, and then I just got on my toes, and I ended up going into that swim. They were just there, like down this snag line. It's a lovely, and I know it well. I fished there like the week before. And again, it was just repeat. I've got my 3 spots. I put one to the corner of the snag, one to the side of the snag, and one out on that 13 wrapper spot. And I want to say that was, I think the afternoon into the night, I had 5 carp. I think I had another 40, maybe a 41 common and 37. But I also had 2 tench. So literally, it's like midnight or whatever. Had 5 carp which just melt off, and then I had 2 stuttery takes which were tench, 1 on each rod, and then I had another stuttery take, so I just assumed it was another tench. But what had happened was some weed had blown in over the top of my line, so I picked my rod up to lean into what I thought was a tench, and there was a big ball of weed on the line. This is so amateurish, right? So I put the rod on the floor. I walked back, put my waders on, going, God, these tench are a nightmare. Flopped my waders on, walked out into the lake, broke this weed off, and then picked up the rod and just wound. And I was just like, and the fish had just kited out, and it was now in the swim next door. There's no one in there, luckily, but it's all the way next door. And I was like, and it started to, I was like, oh, that's a carp. Anyway, it just didn't fight actually, and it's renowned for fighting hard, but it just come in the margin and just come up. And I just flicked my head torch on, and this big white thing just popped up. I was like, shit, that is massive. And I just walked towards it and scooped it on. I knew it was like willow. It's just quite unique. Next thing I was like, you are ginormous. And then there's I got a picture of it on my phone, so I quickly just rolled it over in the net, looking at my, and I said, oh yeah, that's willow. And that was that, mate.
Look at the size of its head, mate. Just
it's ginormous,
isn't it?
And that's a really old carp, really old, like gangster one, that proper one. I mean, yeah.
If you want a classic welly carp, that's it.
That is the ultimate classic welly carp. Yeah,
mid 50, or was it?
It was just under 55.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, just under 55. And I was just like, that'll do. Proper one, that. Love that.
People will be listening to this thinking you're quite, admittedly taking what you just said apart, from the bit where you net it and you're buzzing. It trips off the tongue. These are massive carp you're catching. Are they still such a big buzz?
Oh, mate. Every bite is the buzz. Yesterday, I actually filmed it because I knew I was going to get a bite. And so I actually set my phone up to record it. And I just knew it was going to happen. I had the bite. And then I played it back. So you got the bite with this, fishing tips gone down, lifted into it. And it's, you can hear me go, oh. So it's still there, like massively. It won't ever go.
Yeah, sometimes it's very matter of fact. You've caught another big 50 there. Welly, there are a lot. 45s that don't even barely warrant a mention.
Yeah, some haven't even got a name. Some of them. There's some real big ones in there, especially the commons now. There's loads of big commons. But yeah, It is a big fish. Like it blows me away.
Yeah.
When you just see him come up, you're like, shit, that is massive, and I buzz. But
and like, spoken as someone who may never catch, a fish as big as that, let alone black spot from Wingham. Like, can you tell that is it an equal buzz? Can you tell that it's a giant when it rolls like in front of the net, like a fish like willow?
Absolutely,
versus let's say black spot? Is that another league of size above?
No, it's still yeah, I still get blown away. So when I had a mid-40 a couple of weeks ago, and it just come past me, and I was like, oh shit, you're massive, like proper. 'Cause, you know, as well as there being lots of big ones, there's also a lot of small carp in Welly, like beautiful carp. I've caught loads of double.
Are these self-spawned sort of things?
No, some have been stocked.
Have they?
Yeah, some have been stocked. I don't know when they were stocked, but yeah, some have been stocked. So, you know, you still get that. And then, so when all of a sudden, you know, I've caught a string of 20, 30 pound common. Don't get me wrong, 30 pound is still a big carp, but generally, you know,
not by Welly standards.
Not by Welly standards, and they're coming on another 20 pound, another 30 pounder. Then you see this thing come past you, and you're like, oh yeah, you're a good one. Get in my net, and you still have that. And they fight, man, so hard that you like, please go in the net. I mean, Willow didn't, luckily, but all the others have rucked.
That hardtail is a cool carp.
That fought, man.
I think that was that one, yeah.
That's hardtail.
Yeah. So that looks very male.
Very male.
He looks angry. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that was I'd done the night in the boathouse, and I caught one really quickly out of a boat, like a 36, 37 pounder. And the boathouse is a really good swim. It commands so much water. But I woke up at, 6 o'clock or whatever, and I just didn't feel it.
So you had a lie-in?
I had a lie-in, yeah, first time. And I just reeled in. I just thought, I don't feel it here. And I ended up walking the long way round. So instead of walking to that swim, which isn't, I mean, it's the other side, but it's a lot quicker than the other way I went. I didn't find any fish. It's still early, so the sun's not up properly. And I walked into the corner of this swim called Three Trees, and I saw like 5 show, and they don't really show loads on Welly. So I literally ran back, packed all my kit up, got into the swim, and I waded out, and I just flicked out 2 rods. 40 yards, 50 yards. Never fished that swim before. So
with the little wafters on?
Yeah, same. Yeah. So even though I've never fished it, and I know there's lots of silkweed, I just have faith that it's going to be okay. So I just cast, get a drop, that's all right. Get a drop, that's okay. And then I got some 10 millers in a throwing stick, and I just tried to put out like 20 10 millers, and it didn't, the seagulls come and ruined it. Walked back out of the water, and that's gone straight away. I haven't even got my buzzer on, and that's ripped off, and which was that one. And I picked up the rod, and it just bow waved all the way over to Pokey, literally going. I'm going to run out of line. I'm not getting this in. This is going like, and it just like when it come in close, and I saw it, I was like, oh, you're beautiful. I love the tail. It's such a cool carp. I'm like, please get in the net. And as soon as I netted it, the other rod then went. And then I had like a 25 pounder.
I think I love the tail is mega, but the fins, like the dorsal's a bit raggedy, the head's massive.
I got a picture of it in the water, and I'm holding up the dorsal, and it's sort of like a couple of bits like this, and then it disappears, then it comes back. It's a really nice carp. Really nice carp.
I mean, you've still got a Welly ticket.
Yeah.
You're going to keep that at least another year, I guess.
Yeah, I've renewed it for this year because our spring was cut short this year, so I had all big plans of having a real good go this spring. I've done 4 trips this spring already, and then it shut because they spawned. So I'm going to go. I don't want to bore myself with it because I get, the ADHD thing, right? So
But equally, you can't sit on a ticket like that.
No,
for the
but
money it is.
I've caught a lot of carp out of there already. There's obviously quite a few that I'd like to catch. Pretty sure I lost the big common last year. I only lost 2 last year, and one of them I'm pretty sure was that, which would have been my biggest ever common. So there's still definitely a few I want to catch. I caught my number 1 this spring, which was the linear, which I wanted to catch.
Let's have a little look, Tobes, while we're talking.
Yeah,
famous old carp.
Very famous.
Probably more famous because it's not a big slate grey round mirror.
It's the only one like it. Like if you look
at that age,
Yeah. Very long, ancient, and just cool.
I mean, he's looking his age now.
You know it, and that's why I was more desperate to catch it, because how long is it going to be around for?
When the hand starts to sink in by the peck, you feel like there's not long.
That's right. But that was cool because I saw that carp the week before. The first time, bear in mind, I spent a lot of time looking, and that was the first time I actually saw that fish in Laurie's mate in that snag, and literally. Bearing in mind, I've just seen like a real big one in there, and then this thing waddles through. I was like, oh my, like speaking out loud. Oh my God, it's the linear! Like that's the, and the way it waddled. And I actually fished in that swim for that fish that week. I didn't catch it. I ended up catching another 40 pounder, like £4 common. And then the week later, I got to the lake at like 8 in the morning, and I lapped till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And members going, "You're driving me dizzy. All you keep doing is just walking around." And I found lots of carp, but I didn't find the carp that I wanted to fish for. And then all of a sudden they all just appeared. It's so weird, like walking around this lake and you're finding groups of fish, but no big uns. I'm say big un for welly standard. I'm seeing like mid-30s, at 37 probably, could be 38, but no real big uns. And then I found a couple in the finger one, couple of real good uns. And then I walked back to this, and then I saw that come through, and I was like, he's obviously likes it here at the minute. I've got to fish for it here. So I quickly got my kit, dropped in that swim, and I put 2, which I don't normally do. I put 2 up the side of the snag, literally cast them out, walked back, picked up my other rod. First one's gone. I'm letting the line just do its thing, like slowly tighten it up as it's sort of sinking. Got that one away. Netted it, and then Cobra was fishing the swim next to me, and then literally I've just netted it, and then that rod's gone. So it's not even 10 minutes, and I've just lifted into it, and he's like, "Have you got one?" I said, "I've already got one." I said, "I'm attached to another," and he goes, "I've just seen you cast out." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "They're on it now, obviously." And this one, I said, "Mate, it's only small. It just kited out, didn't take any line really, and then it come all the way into the edge, into the bush between Laurie and Laurie's mate. And he said, "Do you want me to net it?" I was like, "Yeah, go on." Because I only had one net set up at the time. And I just lifted it, and this fucking great big head just come out of the water. And he just scoops like, "That's the linear," and scoops it up. And I was just like, can't believe that. And that's like, I always put them in order on my phone of what ones I want. And that was numero 8.
Nice. I mean, so you could walk away? In a way.
No. I mean, there's still a few more, but I sort of decided that this year would be my last year, because there's so many other waters, and I learnt that from fishing Wingham and just chasing carp. You know, how long have you got? And there's so many cool places to fish. Unless I had absolutely nothing lined up, then I'd fish it. But I think I caught a lot of fish last year. I caught some good ones. I think if I have a similar season, I can notch off a few more, and then that'll be me done,
And the future, is it you're going to be doing 2 nights a week until you can no longer do nights?
I want to do 3 nights a week.
You've got a bit of ambition, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I'd 2 nights I'm happy with. But I always feel like, because especially on Welly, I'm like, if I had an extra night, because they get another full day, and then the half the day the next day, whereas I get there on the Wednesday morning, I pack up Friday morning, but because I'm looking, I might not fish until Wednesday afternoon, whereas they get another full day and then till 12 o'clock, and you just always just think, how many more could I have caught if I had that extra?
It blows me away that you just want more and more and more like that.
I'm a night. I actually, if I catch 10, I want 12, and it's just in me. Like I caught 8 this week, which was great, but I know I could have caught a couple more if I acted on some. And I'm annoyed because I had an opportunity to do something, I didn't do it, and then I should have done it, and then by the time I'd done it, it was too late, and I'd missed my chance. But I knew I had to do it, but I still didn't do it, and that annoys me.
And are people still going to find you in the shop every weekend, though?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Saturdays I will always be in, because it's a good day. It's actually a day where I don't have to do much of my admin stuff or sit in the office, or with a rep or taking orders. It's nice just to talk to customers and get out selling, because I still love selling, and that's how I make my money, is selling. So yeah, I'd always be in the shop, but who knows, one day I'll be off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as opposed to.
Well, God help the carp, mate, if you ever are. But thank you so much, Rick, for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
No, cheers, buddy.
The Thinking Tackle Podcast.